wonders that don't stick. Pretty boys acting tough, boy bands give it up. And if it looks good on TV, it'll look good on a CD. Shape it up, trim it down, who gives a damn about how it sounds? I don't think Waylon done it that way. And if he was here, he'd say Hoss Legal did hang. I ain't dogging what you're doing, but boys, come on, let's get real. He's still got a lot of food left to fill. You say you're the real deal, but you play what nobody feels. You sing about Johnny Cash, the man in black would've whipped your ass, and I don't think Waylon done it that way. And if he was here, he'd say Hoss Legal did hang. I ain't dogging what you're doing, but boys, come on, let's get real. He's still got a lot of food left to fill. Here we go. So long till I see you again, when you're laying in the bargain bin. Well, I don't think Waylon done it that way. And if he was here, he'd say Hoss Legal did hang. I ain't dogging what you're doing, but then again, hell yes I am. I just don't give a damn, 'cause you still got a lot of food left to fill. I guess we all got a lot of food left to fill. That's right.
Can you see by the dawn's early light, for so proudly we hailed at the twilight as gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular amongst birds singing out, yeah, through the night that our flag Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show. Presented by the Barndominium Company and Resto Pros of the Midlands. Part of the Chief Sports Network. Go Gamecocks!
He'll be fire on the mountain. Consecutive home runs for Carolina.
It is good! It's gone!
He's in. Touchdown. Williams with a throw to the plate.
He's going to score! It's a walk-off!
Touchdown, South Carolina.
All right, greetings and good morning. Welcome aboard and welcome home. Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show built by the Barndo Co. and presented by our friends at Resto Pros, who are there when you need them. Resto Pros of the Midlands, Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. The Barndominium Co. can build your dream home today. I actually saw a picture of a Barndo covered in beautiful seasonal snow in the upper part of North Carolina this morning. They're getting a bunch of snow up there. The white stuff has entered. So if you want that to be you next year, this time, go to the barndoco.com, one of the best builders in the country. Rob Williams, he hosts, and he had a hell of a job last night. SEC Sunday night on the heels of the college football playoff selection. We're all settled for the postseason. Some teams have decided not to play in the postseason. We'll get to that later on. And the committee, of course, has told us who will be playing in the college football playoff. Steve Hall, who hosts our four-quarter Friday program, is going to pop in the second hour and recap the state championship games. Congratulations to all the winners. And specifically, because this is a South Carolina-based show, he will tell us what he saw from those who will be playing in Garnet and Black in the future. Guys like Jazavian Currents, who just looks like a superstar. Julian Walker and Anthony Baxter and those guys. There's a bunch of other prospects out there. So I'm anxious to have that conversation. That'll be fun. Pat DeMarco just got in from Buffalo. He was in the snow yesterday watching the Bills take down the Bengals in Western New York. So we're going to move him to either tomorrow or one of the next couple of days. He literally just landed in Charlotte a little bit ago. So no Pat today, no Mike today, whose flight was canceled last night. So we have Rob, and we're excited to have Rob because we'll be able to kind of run the gamut as far as the college football playoff and bowl season and all that type stuff. Oh, yeah, that's right. And Carolina is set to make an offensive coordinator hire, hopefully sooner than later, so we can put this thing to bed, get the coaches in order, and move on to roster retention because – pardon me, there has been some news there, and there will continue to be some news there with the transfer portal officially opening now in less than a month. Glad to have all of you. Merry Christmas. It is Monday, December the 8th, and good morning, Rob.
Good morning. Good to see everybody. Good to see you, JB. Thanks for having me on this morning. Doc, I appreciate the kind words there in the Nana Sports chat box. We did have quite the show last night, kind of around the world. At this point of the year, it's SEC Sunday night, but you know it's tough to keep it within the conference because everything kind of melts together at this point, and every other conference now suddenly matters as it pertains to the future and the fate of the SEC in the immediate college football playoff future. So we kind of have a bit of a mix the further into the year that we get, and so it was a good conversation. However, like you said, a lot of interesting developments yesterday, and so a lot for us to talk about here on a Monday morning. I kind of chuckled a minute ago when you said we have settled on into the college football playoff or into the postseason. I'm not sure that I'm not sure everybody is settled. I think that those teams who may have found their way in are settled. I'm not sure everybody is quite settled. I have a lot of thoughts there, and even as far as the scheduling goes, there's so much to discuss in terms of how this is going to play out here in the next few weeks. But an exciting time. And I was asked as well last night in our chat box about the offensive coordinator hire at South Carolina. Didn't have any real updates last night that weren't already out there. But like you said, hopefully we'll be able to see something moving sooner rather than later.
Yeah, hopefully. I would anticipate it would. I don't want to put a day on it because there's just always. I mean, everybody thinks it's as simple as saying, "Oh, well, you got your guy, just announce it." There are some other coaching hires who are trying to kind of figure out exactly what they want to do with the staff, obviously, and then you've got to go through some paperwork processes and things like that, so you don't get egg on your face if something totally falls apart. Obviously, on that end too. And I know that people have been tracking airplanes and social media follows and all the crazy stuff that kind of goes on when these things happen. But all signs do continue to point to Kendall Briles being named the offensive coordinator here at South Carolina. And if I had to guess, and I don't want this to become message board headlines because oftentimes I am very misquoted on those things and then called a moron by morons. But if I had to take a guess, I would say that this would be sooner than later. Okay. JC and I had a bunch of conversations this weekend, kind of sharing some intel and things like that, and obviously did as much digging as possible. I mean, Coach Beamer has, on the Carolina side, really, really been tight about this. A lot of the information that has gotten out has been on the other side, like the agency side and things like that. And, he is really, Rob, swinging for the fences on this thing to get it right. Now, keep in mind, every single time that a hire is made in college athletics in a sport that particular school truly cares about, right? So here at South Carolina, you obviously have the big three: football, baseball, basketball. Go to a place like Duke, they're going to analyze the water boy in basketball, as we know. Same thing at Kentucky, and so on and so forth. And you're going to have all sorts of different reactions. You're going to see one guy who's way off the reservation. You're going to see 90 other guys who are right in line with where you are, and then you're going to see a few who are, whatever. So if it is Kendall Briles, the large majority of folks are probably going to be pretty happy about it. Some are going to be critical about it, probably the same some who just a few years ago would have, gone to the end of the earth to hire Kendall Briles. And remember, Rob, they don't have to have the best offense in college football. Like,
correct.
It's not needed. It's not necessary. Even if you thought you hired the greatest OC in the game and that was going to give you an opportunity to have the best overall offense in the country, like, you don't have to go that far and write that check. You just have to have an offense that honestly is average. And Kendall Briles' entire career has been way above that. And I've got some stats we'll go over here in just a second. So to summarize what I'm trying to say here is, if they hire Kendall Briles coming off of a 4-8 season where everybody felt like the world was ending, it was a terrible offense, and you got a coach who is perceived to be on the hot seat, and I don't even know if it's perceived, probably is. To what extent, how hot, I don't know, but he probably is, right? And then you're able to go out and hire a guy like this, that would be a remarkable achievement by Shane Beamer. And swinging for the fences wouldn't even begin to start that conversation. That would be crazy. I mean, that's 4 for 4 hitting for the cycle. Most coaches can't land a guy like that coming off a season like this. So you would have to, whether you wanted to or not, regardless of what people's precious little fingers have typed on the internet or not, it would be time to give some flowers to Coach Beamer if he's able to get this thing done.
Yeah, no doubt. I completely agree with you. And the sad reality is that those precious little fingers are going to continue to type and say outlandish things. And I would just caution everybody, as there's a lot of people watching this show, I would just caution everybody not to A, listen to those voices, and B, be one of them. Let's have a little bit of a level head here when it comes to these types of discussions. And everything that you just said, JB, is incredibly accurate. There's a lot of momentum, and we're starting to track this momentum in Columbia. I'm not trying to put on garnet glasses. I'm not trying to paint it like everything's okay and that the Gamecocks are going to come out next year and be in the college football playoff this time next year. I mean, that's what Shane Beamer said, essentially, that they would be right in the thick of it at this time next year. But I'm not even going that far. But I am right where you are. You do have to give flowers for the high school class, holding that together, and then pulling a couple of extra guys into the boat. If it is Kendall Briles, you have to give flowers there. And if we move to the transfer portal and the momentum continues, then things are going to continue to set up. And you've made the point just now. If this offense scores just a few more points, 21, 24, you're looking at a completely different outlook. And I think with Kendall Briles' system, you're going to get something completely different than what we've seen in the Shane Beamer era, but also during the Will Muschamp era. You're going to get to see something that is designed to be explosive, like something we haven't seen in 10 years.
Well, there's no doubt. Inflexible, Rob. I mean, I was looking this morning at some numbers from Briles both at Arkansas and at TCU. And look, there's some mixed bag stuff here, but you got to put it into perspective a little bit. And we have, for what it's worth, we have reached out to multiple people in Fort Worth to try to get some of their insight. Just haven't been able to get it scheduled quite yet, but we will have somebody this week from there if this indeed ends up being the hire. Again, all signs continue to point in that direction. But Arkansas in 2019, they were 111th in the country in total offense and 110th in the country in scoring offense. Okay, Rob. I mean, at the end of the day, you can go through things like passing and rushing, and I've got those numbers too. Third down, sacks allowed, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, it's how many points are you putting on the board, right? I mean, I don't think anybody really necessarily cares how you get there. We could all have our own version of this is what we'd like to see. But at the end of the day, if you run 80 plays a game and 79 of them are on the ground and you're scoring 35 points, I don't think people care about that as long as you're winning. So they were 111th in total offense, 110th in scoring. And then when he took over in 2020, remember, this is a COVID year too. And you have to remember the quarterback stuff that was going on. But I'm going to come back to that flexibility statement I made a minute ago. So let me read some of this, and I want to get your reaction to some of it. You might even know these numbers. But after he took over, their total offense went from 111th to 66th in the first year, from in scoring offense from 110th to 86. And they were 52nd in the country, Arkansas, in 2020. In passing offense, 78th in rushing, 105th in third down, and 115th in sacks allowed. Then in 2021, after he'd had a year under his belt there, they went from 66th in total offense to 27th. So that's in less than 2 years, moving the Hogs up 84 spots in total offense. They went from 86th in scoring offense to 48th. So that's up 62 spots after 1 year under Kendall Briles, 31 points per game. They were 85th in the country in passing. Oh, no. They were 7th in the country in rushing. Remember, that was kind of his style. Like, they ran the football more with the quarterback. They were 90th in third downs. That was an improvement. And they were 70th in sacks allowed. That was an improvement by 45 spots. And then in 2022, his final year in Fayetteville, Mr. Coach Williams, start calling you Coach. We got to come up with a good nickname for you. They went from 27th in total offense to 15th, 470 yards per game. They went from 48th in scoring to 34th, 33 points per game. Passing offense improved from 85th to 63. Rushing stayed the same. How about that? 2 straight years, 7th in the country in rushing offense. Third down conversion percentage went from 90 to 21st in the nation. And sacks allowed was still right there, 2.3 per game, 80th in the country. Then at TCU, in 2022, they were 9th in scoring, pretty good, and 27th in total offense, right? So they wanted to maintain those numbers, so they hired a guy to try to do that. Their total offense went from 27th to 11th, but their scoring offense dropped from 9th to 40th, 31 points per game still. We'd kill for 31 points per game at South Carolina right now. They went to they were 7th in the country in passing offense, 70th in rushing, 14th in third down conversions, and 38th in sacks allowed. In 2024, they were 31st in total offense, 25th in scoring, 8th in passing, 112 in rushing offense. They ranked 37th in the country in third down conversions and 21st overall in sacks allowed. And then this year, they were 30th in the nation in total offense, 43rd in scoring. They had a little gap, a little drought there in the middle of the year, towards the back middle of the year. 8th in passing, so they've been in the top 10 in passing yards per game the last 3 seasons. 93rd in rushing, 23rd in third down conversions, 47%, and 42nd in sacks allowed, 1.5 per game. So he went from primarily a rushing offense at Arkansas to throwing the football in Fort Worth. So what does that tell you? What does all that tell you?
Well, one of the things that if we look at the personnel in Arkansas, excuse me, is we know that Rocket Sanders was the running back for part of that tenure, right? And so you're able to know what type of personnel you're looking at, and KJ Jefferson as the quarterback. And so if you want to do comps, I don't really like the Lenoris to KJ comparison, but you do have 2 guys who are at least on a base level a dual threat quarterback, right? Somebody who's going to be able to move the ball with his legs, with his arms, and with his arm. And so if that's the case, or that is the prototype of quarterback that you're looking for with Kendall Briles, then at least we know a little bit of the direction that Shane Beamer is trying to go. The other thing that I think kind of sticks with me is Shane Beamer is absolutely going to stand on running the ball as a foundation, run the ball, stop the run, right? And so you're going to go get a guy who has the ability to run the ball, but in a college format where there's going to be some spacing. You're going to be able to get people out there. Not at all like what we saw this year. I think that scares people when we talk about run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. I think there's a little bit of PTSD, and people can get a little uptight about the prospect of trying to just pound the rock over and over and over again, running it into the line of scrimmage. But I don't think we're going to see that with this type of system. You talk about points, and even in a quote unquote down year, you're still at 31 points. You mentioned there. Just for reference, South Carolina this year, 104th in points per game at 22.7, 45th in points allowed against the opponent at 22.1. Compare that to last year, where South Carolina was 48th with 30.5 points per game and 12th on defense, allowing 18.1. So if you're going to allow somewhere around 20 points per game, I think that's the goal. And we've seen Clayton White's defenses improve over the past few years to get kind of into that range. If you're going to allow 20 points per game and your offense is going to be able to average, let's just say it's not that drastic of an improvement. Let's say it's 28 points per game. I like their chances to go out and win 7 or 8, and I think that would be an incredible bounce back from 4-8 in 2025 if that's the case in 2026. And like you said, you don't have to write the check of the college football playoff or the best offense in the country, but we know what this team is capable of from a heart perspective. I think that people are tired of hearing about that culture and that fight that is inside of them. But if you put them in a situation where the games are going to be more in their favor, because the offense is able to control the clock a little more and able to get in the end zone more. I think that the culture, the belief, the fight that is within them, the level of competition that is bred within this program, I think those things start to become more evident. They're still evident this year. It just fades into the background because with a 4-8 record, everything's a little tainted and everything gets dissected and picked apart. But when you get into a situation where the offense can move it, all the intangibles start to show back up, and then all bets are kind of off. If you set your floor at truly at 6-6, and your expectations at 7 or 8 wins, then this becomes a situation where 9 or 10 is very achievable.
Yeah. I agree with that. You know, you take the last 6 years and he's found a way collectively. I mean, there's never a dip. It's just different how they get there as far as how many points do they score. You know, he's averaging 31 points per game in the last 6 years as an offensive coordinator. And those numbers are 26, 31, 32 and a half, 31, 33 and a half, 31. So they're obviously like, he's kind of got his, you know, this is what we do here. This is how we're going to get there. But then he uses his personnel to get there. And that's what it looks like to me. And you mentioned KJ Jefferson. I mentioned the word flexibility. So let's bring quarterback Josh Hoover into this thing. Well, Josh Hoover is not a running quarterback at all. Do you want his numbers? Because I can give them to you. In 2023, he carried it 20 times for 5 yards. In 2024, 47 times for negative 19 yards. In 2025, 55 times for 4 yards. Yeah, now sack yardage goes into that, obviously. I got it. But they don't run Josh Hoover.
Those are scrambles. A lot of those are scrambles.
Right. Okay. So then you mentioned KJ Jefferson. Well, KJ Jefferson he played college football, for anybody wondering, you know, for 75 years, but he ran it 146 times in 2021 and 158 times in 2022, and then 161 times in 2023 without Kendall. And his numbers were way off, right? So he took his system and he catered it to what KJ Jefferson was really good at doing. And then, as you mentioned, you had Rocket Sanders and Treon Smith and all these other guys that were able to run the football at Arkansas. So they ran the football. But then when he went to TCU, his quarterback primarily for his whole tenure there has been a guy who throws the football. Well, the numbers directly reflect that. Now, they might have had some bad games and things of that nature, but I guess what I'm trying to figure out here is, you know, if Lenoris Sellers does return for one more year at South Carolina and everybody else that is on their current roster at that position, and then, Rob, you're recruiting quarterbacks who fit this style of offense, and you get a blend of what you had there in passing and throwing the football in Fort Worth versus what they did running the football in Fayetteville. I mean, that could be lethal if you have the right guy. And look, you know, for all the blame that Lenoris Sellers deserves this year for some of the things that he just did poorly, regardless of who the coach was and all that stuff, there were some things that just an SEC quarterback needs to do better, period, the end, right? So he deserves some blame. Now, he doesn't deserve all the blame. I 1,000% agree with people who want to blame more so the system than the player and saying that it didn't fit. He tried his best to make it fit, and it just continued to beat him up. You know, it's like being in an abusive relationship. Like at some point in time, like you just kind of mentally just check out. And then you have some good days and you're really fighting hard, but it's like, God, how much longer can I do this? This just isn't me. I'm not a free person in this thing, right? So I think that all of that combined to limit Lenoris Sellers and to really downgrade Lenoris Sellers from where he was coming into the season as a quarterback. But that does not mean that I don't think that overall he is a better player than the last two guys that Kendall Briles has been coaching.
Correct.
Would I say that Hoover is probably a more complete passer right now? Sure. But would I think that Lenoris Sellers as a prospect is better? Yes. And then you mentioned KJ, and you mentioned you don't love the comparison, and I agree with you, Rob, because I think Lenora Sellers is 10 times the athlete that KJ Jefferson is. He was just a big bulldozer, and it worked. But Lenora Sellers is a better athlete, and he's a better runner.
Yep.
So, you know, if you're a guy like Kendall Briles and you're going, if you're Kendall Briles, let's say he didn't have a job and he got to sit back and he could make a choice. Look, I'm gonna coach this year, and I'm gonna pick my offense based on what quarterback I believe could best run the system that I want to run. How many guys in college football would you point to over Lenora Sellers that say fit better what he does than him?
Yeah, not a lot. I don't know if there's
many,
anybody.
if anybody.
And you talk about personnel usage. I think that the flexibility is a great point. I think the other point that needs to be brought up that helps remedy the situation from a recency bias standpoint is that you see development in terms of his players. Not only is Kendall Briles capable of adjusting the system to the guys that he has, but we see these guys continue to improve and grow within that system. And that was a situation this year with Lenora Sellers where we saw regression. And so, excuse me, the idea that players are going to, wait for it, get better under the coaching staff and improve year over year, I think is a big encouragement. And there's enough of a track record that we're not going out on a limb by saying that Kendall Briles is going to help guys get better and improve in his system when they are in it for more than 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, I want to be cautious here. You know, if for some reason this deal doesn't get done, I certainly don't want to be blamed, even though we get blamed for a lot of crap we have nothing to do with. But if this deal doesn't get done for some reason, you know, they have, my understanding is, you know, whoever they hire, this is going to be a night and day system from what it's been, and it's going to fit personnel, and it's going to be a fun offense to play in. It might not always be perfect, especially in year one. You know, you're getting some adjustments and things like that down, but we'll talk more about that. I got a little bit more that I want to discuss with you with Kendall on the other side of the break. Obviously, we're going to get into the CFP. That is a major national discussion point, and what is. There's no way that this thing is going to stay the way that it is into next year. There's just too much going on. We got Steve coming in later on, really anxious to hear his thoughts. You know, he was a hat tip to Steve Hall again on 4-Quarter Friday. He was down there on the sidelines all weekend long in the rain and in the cold, and he was sick covering all these games for 4-Quarter Friday. He did a marvelous job and had his eyeballs on the Gamecocks who are coming in next year. So we'll hit on that with him coming up a little bit later on as well. That is Rob Williams with SEC Sunday night. We're presented by Palm Casual, palmcasual.com. Their furniture can handle this nasty weather we've just had, and it can handle snow, and it can handle thunder, and it can handle hail and all that stuff, like everything. Ketchup stains. I mean, it's the best in the business. palmcasual.com, 4 locations in South Carolina. We'll step aside. We'll come back. It's the morning show.
It's the end of the model year, and you know what that means at JT's Kia. Huge holiday savings.
Up to $10,000 off brand new JT's Kias. We've never had discounts like that.
Drive a new Kia Sorento just $199 a month, or a 2026 Kia Sportage just $159 a month.
Better quality, better warranty, and thousands less than other imports.
No matter your credit, JT can help you get it.
Year-end savings, so you better hurry.
I-77 at Killian Road.
JT's Kia.
Kia Season of New Tradition sales event.
If you live in the Midlands and have a Medicare Advantage plan, please listen carefully.
Hello, I'm Joel Lurie. Due to recent congressional action regarding prescription drug costs, it's very important for you to review your plan. There are major changes that could affect your coverage and how much you pay. If you would like a review of your Medicare Advantage plan, call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067. Our service is at no cost.
Touchdown ball.
Hey, folks, it's Mike Morgan for Ryan Brewer Fence. That's right. You know the former Gamecock legend as a terrific college football player. Well, I know him as that, too. I also know him as the guy that runs a great business. Whether you're in the market for a fence, railings, columns, or anything in between, their craftsmanship, their experience, and service, second to none. Residential and commercial fencing and railings. Rest assured your job will be done with an unparalleled level of expertise, and it's done on time, and they do it right the first time. Again, you're not going to do any better than Ryan Brewer Fence. The website is ryanbrewer.net. Set up an appointment today. Tell them Mike sent you.
For over 80 years, the West Law Firm has delivered hard work, honest advice, and real results, and is a law firm built on family that delivers for families in South Carolina. They represent clients through personal injury, criminal defense, car, DUI, and boating accidents, and more. Built on blue collar, representing blue collar, the West Law Firm understands the importance of dedication and experience needed for representation, but with a foxhole mentality. Visit westlawfirmsc.com. westlawfirmsc.com. Get comfortable with our team and learn why we should be a part of yours when you need us. Go Gamecocks!
I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Disaster comes uninformed. During and after natural disasters or accidents, there can be a heavy loss to property. It can become extremely difficult to bounce back to what you knew before. Having your home or office destroyed or damaged by water, fire, smoke, or mold affects your personal and business lifestyle. Resto Pros of the Midlands is here to help. Open 24/7. Call them when you need them. 803-493-0170.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from the Chief Sports Network.
Everybody's having a wonderful holiday season. We certainly are here. Yesterday, finally got our 5-foot wreath in that goes on the front of the house. So I have to hang that today. It's late, but it's all good. It makes the kids happy. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the morning show. If you're going to be shopping this holiday season for something with a University of South Carolina logo on it, where else are you going to shop besides Gamecock Traditions? Because they send it to you, to your door. And they got the widest, largest selection in the state. And they're our dear friends. Gamecock Traditions is in Lexington. Go online, GamecockTraditions.com. Hope was in here the other day. I think Craig said he was going to buy her some stuff. Craig, did you ever buy stuff for Hope? For those that don't pay attention to the chat box, we know most of you don't. We're talking about a couple of our regulars in here. Hope was just being as sweet as she always is, and Craig was being very giving this holiday season. So, Craig, if you didn't buy anything for Hope yet, I hope you got. Or I hope you haven't forgotten about her. No pun intended.
In fact, there's the comment right there.
Oh, sweet. See, Craig, come on, man. Get off the blowing glass stuff and get in there. Go to Gamecock Traditions and get Hope that special, gift for a dear friend this season. Me and Strick and Flint and JC, we've got this crazy text that goes on forever. And we were going back and forth on Friday night, and I had been snooping around the internet watching some of the championship games. And I forwarded them these YouTube videos that I found on. I just typed in Kendall Briles, and found these videos of him giving some offensive presentations and stuff like that. And one of them was titled Tempo, Philosophy, and Mechanics. Well, tempo, philosophy, and mechanics. It sounds like a college class for a major you're never going to use. So I pulled it up and looked at it and sent it to these guys. And I asked them, I said, have y'all ever seen anything like this? And even Big John said, I've never seen that before. you'll have to go watch the video. Matter of fact, JC wrote an article this weekend. I think he linked that video in that article, if I remember correctly. Did he? Okay.
He did.
If you haven't seen it, this is crazy. It's talking about how to run a tempo offense, and he references, what side of the field they're on and where the hash mark is. So, like, if the ball goes out of bounds on the boundary side or the field side or whatever it is, the center is running straight up the hash mark to get to the spot of where the ball is going to be. Okay, so he's not just kind of flailing around out there, waving at his girlfriend and tucking his towel in and stuff like that. No, Rob. He's on like a dead sprint up the hash mark. Now, obviously, if the ball's between the hashes, he's wherever that is. But if it's outside of the hash marks, ball can't be placed outside of the hash marks, right? So you're just going, what's the quickest way from point A to point B?
Yep, straight line.
Straight line. So right up the hash mark you go.
Yeah.
And, when the ball goes out of bounds, it is the job of the receiver or the playmaker or whoever it is, Rob, to run the football to the hash mark and give it to the center judge, who's then going to spot the ball. You're not just flipping the ball over your shoulder and giving the first down mark. And, hey, Mom, see that 7-yard gain? Hey, Mom. Hey, Uncle Fred.
Yeah, whoever started celebrating every first down, we need to go back and punch that guy in the face.
Yeah. Well, and if you're celebrating with the ball in your hand in this offense.
Yep.
You're not just spinning it on the ground and no. And the other side of this, I've never seen anything like this. They coach the managers to use one football. Now, if it's pouring rain, they're not going to be like, I know it's slippery, but only one ball. No, I mean, obviously they're going to get a dry ball in there. That'll throw you off a little bit, but the managers are literally on high alert at all times. If the ball pops out of his hands or something, hand him a football, let him run back out. It is the most crazy thing that I've ever seen before. So they're coaching managers on how to get the football into play, only using one football, center running up the hash marks, getting there, having the play already called so you can continue to run a tempo offense. But it's not about that. Like, while that's all crazy to me, Rob, like, I say crazy in a good way, like I've never seen it before, there's a bigger picture here, right? Do you know what I'm getting at? There's a bigger picture. ATD, attention to detail.
Yes.
So if you are making these guys pay that much attention to that little of detail, but you're making that detail much bigger than it is, what else is going on when you're coaching these guys? So if it's an attention to detail offense, no wonder it's successful. You can look at tempo all you want, and players and all that stuff. That all matters. I get it. But attention to detail, if that's how they're being coached, that's one of the main reasons for success. That's one of the main reasons for success in life. Y'all probably get pissed at me with some of the emails I send about production and all this crap because we're paying attention. Like, no, it's not perfect. You got to fix it. That to me sounds like Kendall Briles.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that we can find a lot of solace in here is that no one knows how to do this better than he does. How many times have we talked about offensive coaches across the country that come off the Briles system or out of the Briles tree? And we don't necessarily need to open the door to everybody's opinions on the actions or whatever with Art and what happened back in the day. But the system that was created that has then been taken forward, we see it work in a lot of places with a lot of people. Who is better to run this system? It's not like, anything is new under the sun. And a lot of times, especially in football, things are borrowed or amended or tweaked a little bit from the way that somebody else did it. We don't see a whole lot of, we talk about being creative, and there are ways to be creative in play calling and designing offenses, but everything is just a model of what somebody else did, even if it's piecing together 2 or 3 different things. In this case, though, we have an offensive system and tree that came from Art Briles to Kendall. Who else knows how to run this any better? And we see it everywhere. It is all over the SEC. It's all over the country. One of the things that we can point to with even with Lane Kiffin, with Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State, on and on the list goes, is that a lot of the influences are coming out of this Briles tree. So I think that we can kind of sit back and say this is not somebody who took somebody else's ideas, who worked for the guy. This is Kendall Briles, Art Briles' son. This is infused into him. This offense is a part of who he is, and that allows him, to your point, to pay so much attention to detail. He's not thinking about the design of this offense. That's the back of his hand. It's essentially his offense. And he's never known a world where this offense was not implemented into every game that he was playing or coaching or a part of. And so it gives him this ability to drill down. You think about the years and years and years that Kendall Briles has been able to internalize this system, and each year you do kind of what you're just talking about. You go back and you self-scout and you reevaluate and you find the points where maybe it wasn't perfect, and you say, well, we've got 80% of it down. Let's go tweak this other 20% and make some changes for next year. And then after the next year, you do the same thing. So every year you see the offense continue to be refined, new things are discovered, and new details are uncovered and tweaked. And that goes all the way down to, we're at the point now where we're coaching managers, right? Like that is something that I think can give people a lot of peace. I think maybe going into 2026, if Kendall Briles is the hire, because there's not going to be anything that is going to get thrown at him where he's going to be like, I don't really know how we're going to deal with that. I think that, no pun intended, but he's going to attack and be on the offensive when he comes in, or anybody comes in that case, to become the offensive coordinator. This is not a thing where you're sitting back and letting things kind of unfold in front of you. If the attention to detail is what you're saying, then there's attention to detail in everything about how it's going. How are we talking to each other? How are we eating meals? How are we interacting in the film room? Who are we going and getting in the transfer portal? Like, this is going to be a heavy part of the discussion and everything, because if we're coaching managers and we are, then I promise you, we've already got a full list of transfer portal guys that we need to attack. And that combination of what Darren Usher and his staff have been doing with the new OC, I think, is going to be a vital and crucial part of putting the roster together for 2026 as well.
Yeah, it's a great point too there, man. I would be anxious to see what this will look like if it is indeed Kendall Briles, as far as the portal goes, who deflects from the program and why. I mean, I don't know that Kendall Briles would be a guy that would be hired and he would walk into Shane Beamer's office and say, well, this guy, and this guy got to go because they can't handle this. I don't think that it would happen that way. But at the same time, if you can upgrade, you're going to go out and upgrade. And then that kind of forces your hand on things like that. So you could potentially, no matter if it's Kendall Briles or Kevin Decker or Jesus or whoever they hire to be the offensive coordinator at South Carolina, which, by the way, Jesus walked on water. So if they end up hiring him, Carolina's going to be in pretty good hands. But you hire a guy like that totally flips the script on what you're trying to do. You are going to attract guys in the portal. Now, you got a whole nother financial issue and things like that you have to deal with on that end. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole necessarily right now, but it would be, it would make it very curious to follow. I'd be very curious to, it wouldn't make it curious. It'd make me curious to follow a little bit more intently as far as who's coming, who's going, and why. Why? Some people aren't built for an offense like this. The other thing too, I gave those stats, the sacks allowed. There's a reason for that, because Carolina has just been awful. Not very good at Arkansas, better than here, but not very good, but very good at TCU. Eventually, essentially in the last 3 years, being sacked about 1.4 times per game when you kind of average it all out. Sweet mother, dude. Let me think about that for a second. Like, Lenora Sellers lost like 500 yards this year in sack yardage. I mean, you're what?
Yeah, and
I mean, like, cut that in half. Carolina's in bowl season.
Exactly. And we're sitting here talking about personnel and attention to detail, and you kind of tongue in cheek make the comment like, this guy can or can't handle this system. You go back to one of the first things you said about the video with tempo, philosophy, and mechanics is that the center is sprinting from point A to point B. This is a situation where you're going to need, we've said this already, and this is obvious regardless of who the offensive coordinator hire is, but this gives some specificity to who they're looking to target at the offensive line position in the transfer portal, because there's a specific type of player that makes this offense click, especially if you're going to run tempo to that level. And there are some guys in the room that may be built for that, and there are going to be others who maybe weren't thinking about leaving that might reconsider because they're not built for that. But I don't think that that's something that fans need to get all up in arms about either, because you're going to need to get the right people in the right seats in order to make this thing go. And we all know it's got to go next year, or there's going to be trouble all over again.
Or there will be others going. That's for sure. Well, we'll see. We'll continue to monitor that. There have been, I don't want to say conflicting reports because it's not conflicting at all, but certainly want to applaud JC Sherbert and his staff at the Big Spur, and others out there who are following this. Obviously, we've got competitors, but they're all doing a marvelous job in getting the best information that they can and getting that in the hands of those who subscribe and follow along. We'll see what happens at the running back coach position. Stan Drayton's name is now being floated out there a pretty decent amount from Penn State. You've got obviously the Jimmy Smith connection. He is in TCU from Darlington, South Carolina, recruits the Atlanta area very, very well. Those seem to be the two most popular names currently at the running back position. And then you got the offensive line, and I think that's a little bit more widespread, at least the limited sourcing that I've been able to do, Rob. Again, in full disclosure, it's been hard to squeeze any juice out of this orange over the last 48 to 72 hours. But there's quite a few names that are kind of floating around out there. And then you still got an option on staff. I mean, Sean Elliott is there, right?
Absolutely.
Does that fit best? Is it better to move him back to tight end? What are they going to do? How are they going to do this? I don't know, but I do truly, strongly, very strongly, very, very strongly believe that he is trying to get all this done in one big shebang here. And let's just announce all this stuff at one time, and let's move off into the sunset and get this sucker right for 2026. So obviously we'll stay right on top of it. Again, hopefully to get some news here sooner than later. JC and Phil will have more on that. We'll have more on it here in the program. All right, in college football, and we'll be able to dive more into it in the second half of our program. But the college football playoff was selected to not cut that conversation short, because we're going to have to dip out of here, Rob, in about 5 minutes or so, 5 or 6 minutes. But to not cut that conversation short, we'll hold off on a little bit of it. When I heard the news initially yesterday about Notre Dame, I was like, what? And then as the day went along, we found out that there are multiple teams who've said thanks, but no thanks to bowl season. Now, the difference in those and Notre Dame is Notre Dame just flat out came out and said it. We're pissed. We're not happy. We think this whole thing is hogwash. We're elite. We own NBC, essentially, for programming. Yep. We're Notre Dame. Look at our golden shiny helmets. How dare you, essentially, is what they were saying to the College Football Playoff Committee. So we're going to have a letter drafted signing our entire team, which I would venture a guess wasn't the whole team, because there's probably some seniors there who'd like to go play one more game of football, since their careers aren't going to end in the NFL. They're going to end in South Bend.
They're over.
But yeah, it's over, but they've decided, well, we're just going to shut this thing down now. So which question do you ask, right?
There are several.
what is the response to that, which is a very generic question these days. But I think that the bigger question is this the beginning of the end of bowl season?
Yeah, I'm afraid that it is. First of all, in response to Notre Dame, I think that it's ridiculous. I think that it's childish. I think it's very poor leadership on the part of Marcus Freeman and the program. I have no respect for running away from competition in that way, just to kind of try to prove a point. I think that we can throw around the excuse of injuries about players opting out, and we've done that for years. And, you know, Kirby Smart said it best, I think. If you're scared to play football, you'll play like you're scared to play. So, you know, I think that this sport is, people know what they're doing when they sign up, and injuries are always a risk. And one more game is not adding any more injury. I think when you look at preparing for 2026, as a lot of programs have stated, 15 extra practices and a real game provides development that does not exist anywhere else. If I learned anything in athletics from an early time, it's that you cannot simulate game experience. It doesn't happen. You can't simulate it in any way, shape, or form. And so if you can have guys who are phenomenal practice players but never get in-game experience, they are lacking in their development and their ability to play the game, because they don't know what to do when the lights are on, when there's a real opponent on the other side, when officials are dictating how the flow of the game is going to go in terms of moving and spotting and setting the next play into motion. All of those things are a big part of bowl season. And it's baffling to me that programs want to turn down opportunities to get out there and compete. It almost seems like we're shifting the narrative away from on-field success to talking, and Mike has made this point, we've made this point on Sunday nights. We talk more about the things that are happening off the field than we talk about things that are happening on the field. And Craig and I tried to make a pointed effort last night to begin with some analysis of the SEC championship game before we got into this hogwash about everybody being up in arms about the college football playoff and the bowl opt-outs. And we talked about Georgia suing Damon Wilson and like all the different things that are happening. We started off with the game, because is the game not why we showed up in the first place? Are the games not why everybody is here? But we have so many other conversations, and now these programs and coaches are giving in to say, we're going to worry about X, Y, and Z because we have 50 other priorities that don't involve the game on the field. It's absolutely baffling. I can't wrap my mind around that. And I don't understand, as a competitor, how you just lay it down and say, nope, we're not going to do that. I think it's childish from Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, but to your point, this is snowballing, and we've seen this before. And so that makes me fear that the bowl games are on their way out. I'm not exactly sure. We've said for a long time that they exist because of their monetary value. But if teams continue to opt out, then they're going to be stripped of that monetary value. And that's when I think we'll see them start to tail off.
That's exactly right. I mean, again, we're at the end of the hour here, but we are going to come back to this. You know, what can you do to save bowl season? I'm a fan of bowl season. Our friend Mike Morgan says all the time, you know, they'll always exist because people are going to watch, and he's not wrong about that. But if there's nothing to watch, you can't have it.
Yep.
You know, so you know what are the options that college football has to keep it in conjunction with the college football playoff, which, like Doc, I just saw just a second ago, he makes a good point, and I don't think it's a bad point. I mean, there are likely only 4 teams. You don't need 16 or 12 teams or whatever the case is. I would disagree if you had it totally right. You know, like, do you have the best 12 teams in? I would disagree with his point. But that's not going back in the bottle. Like, if anything, it's expanding because of the monetary value, as you just mentioned here. So there's really no point in having that, how many teams can actually win it versus how many teams are in the playoff conversation anymore, because it's irrelevant. But we're going to get back. We're going to get back to that here in just a little bit. When we return, though, the state title games were played this weekend. We will talk about the title games that were played in college football. If you want to be pissed at anybody, be pissed at Duke. So we'll get
fun.
we'll get to all that, and the Gamecock signees who performed in Orangeburg this weekend, a rainy Orangeburg, South Carolina. Hour 2 of the morning show, powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston. ElectricBikesCharleston.com this holiday season. We'll be right back.
Hey Gamecock fans, happy holidays from all of us here at the Barn Dominium Company. Many of you will be spending your holidays in one of our beautifully built Barn Dominium homes. Thank you for letting us make your dreams come true. We hope you find peace, joy, and love during the most wonderful time of the year.
This is a breaking news event. We now have boiled peanuts without the shells.
Sorry, Alex. Did you say boiled peanuts without the shells?
Yes, boiled peanuts. No shells. Go to GameDayNuts.net and order them for Game Day.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I'd like that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
At Moultrie Insurance, our agents are working for you. Our commercial lines of coverage are well-sourced and intimately chosen. We offer commercial lines of coverage such as business owners, umbrella, property, auto, or general liability coverage, and evaluate every option to find what fits you best. Like a good offensive coordinator, we will draw up the plays, but only run with what you feel comfortable. Get in touch with our quarterback, Perry Orth, or our head coach, Frank, by visiting MoultrieINS.com. MoultrieINS.com. Moultrie Insurance, proud supporters of the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Nana's Porch presents a Southern staple delivered right to your doorstep. Nana's Porch locally crafted pimento cheese has been a hit for years at weddings, tailgates, and other events. Now you can order online and have it sent to your home. Visit nanasporch.com. That's nanasporch.com and click the pimento cheese tab to choose between their original pimento cheese and their jalapeno smoked pimento cheese set. nanasporch.com, man, that's good.
Introducing this year's Carolina Jackpot $5 scratch-off ticket, featuring a chance to win up to $200,000. You can even enter your tickets into the Second Chance promotion. Step on the court for a chance to win $50, $75, or $100,000. This Palmetto series, let's show who really runs this state.
Visit GameDayNuts.net and order yours today. Boiled peanuts, no shells. Official tailgate snack of ITG. You're tuned into Hour 2 of Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show. Presented by the Barn Dough Company and Resto Pros of the Midlands. Go Gamecocks!
With a little love and some tenderness, we'll walk upon the water, we'll rise above the mist. With a little peace and some harmony, we'll take the world together, we'll take them by the hand. 'Cause I got him for you. Standing there, your hair is down, your eyes are red, no comb I touch your hair. I said, get
All right, it's the final hour of Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show on this Monday. Man, I looked out into the sky this morning, Rob, and I found this little yellow dot. They call it the sun. We hadn't seen it in, it feels like ever. But welcome back to the sun here in the state of South Carolina. Built by the Barn Dominium Co. and presented by our friends at Resto Pros. For over 80 years, the West Law Firm has delivered hard work, honest advice, and real results. And it's a law firm truly built on family that delivers for families in South Carolina. They wish you a Merry Christmas. You can visit westlawfirm.com. They are amazing people, founded by University of South Carolina grads, you might add. And their home office in Moncks Corner, but multiple offices across the state. If it's personal injury or criminal defense or, God forbid, other things like having a little too much fun this holiday season and getting behind the wheel, don't do that. Don't do it. But if you do, call somebody you can trust who's going to treat you like family. westlawfirmsc.com. westlawfirmsc.com. That is Rob with the SEC Sunday Night. Steve will be in here in just a minute with Four Quarter Friday. Some Gamecock connections playing in state title games this weekend, and some blowouts. Man, I'll tell you what, dude. On the topic of Kendall Briles, have you watched Northwestern play high school football?
Oh yeah.
So my man Paige Wofford, I'll give him love every chance I get. The noble rabbit. He's got an elite mullet. They spread their Steve. They spread themselves out so much. I mean, they got wide receivers standing like 2 yards off the line of scrimmage when they're running some of these plays. It is all about space. And I was talking to Flint the other day. I was like, I mean, I know Paige, and I know he loves the high school kids, and he doesn't want to go anywhere. He loves Northwestern, and I know there's a college out there looking at his offense going, that might be kind of fun.
They scored a few points, so I think that grabs people's attention, right?
They can score, man. All right, well, we scored today. Steve Hall joins us. He's got to be sick. You were standing in the weather all weekend long, roaming the sidelines. I saw you pick up a couple of pom-poms and get in there with the cheerleaders at one point in time, blowing the trumpet with the band. You're doing everything this weekend. Hey, bud.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for what you did in covering all those games Friday and Saturday, not missing a moment. That I know it was a lot of fun, and you got to hang out and talk to a lot of people and things of that nature. But really appreciate your hard work and being there for the kids and the coaches and these programs, putting the spotlight on them through our platform. Well done, man.
Well, thank you. I had a ton of fun doing it. I mean, I got to meet the infamous Pride of Hampton County on Saturday, and me and him kind of got to hang out a little bit, so that was always good, and got to hear some of the behind-the-scenes eval tips and all that stuff of some of these players. And, man, the boys from Rock Hill, man, they know how to play some football.
It's Football City, USA, right? Hey, real quick here from David Cloninger with the Post and Courier. Quick update. And I thought this would come this week. We talked about this last week. South Carolina has announced they will host Kent State to open the season on September the 5th. Kent State will be the season opener before they play Towson. So they're going to have 8 quarters to get that offense figured out before league play kicks in here coming up in 2026. Kent State is replacing Miami on the schedule. Whew. All right. Blake Cooper texted me. He said, I didn't know that you knew Steve Hall. I was like, well, maybe you should pay closer attention, Blake. Yeah, we work together every week. All right, let's I want to get your thoughts on a bunch of stuff. And Rob, you plug in questions anywhere you got. Let's start with the 4A real quick here. We'll maneuver through all these games. I want to get your observations on some of the Gamecock commitments and some guys who aren't committed but are on the radar. Obviously, this being a South Carolina show, so we'll gear it a little bit more towards that. And then overall, just some thoughts on the state title games themselves, including that really bizarre fight after the Oceanside game. But South Point whips South Florence, a couple of wonderful programs with great coaches and players and tradition and all that type stuff. 35-14 the final score, but I've talked to a couple of people who were there who said, look, man, Jazavian Currents is a dude, and they don't see any way that he's not a major contributor as a true freshman for the Gamecocks this upcoming year.
Yeah, I mean, I was just blown away by how big he was. First of all, I mean, he towers over everybody on the field. He's so smooth, and he was absolutely the leader of that team. So excited to see what he's going to bring to Columbia as far as leadership goes. He's coming from a place that expects to win and expects to win a lot, and so you can't have enough of those guys on your roster if you're Shane Beamer, for sure. Caden Watkins, I believe, might be one of the uncommitted guys, a junior. He's apparently going to be one of the next big guys to come out of South Point. He is really good. A little shorter than I anticipated for a big-time prospect, but he makes up for it with physicality and technique, and he's definitely very fast. So that was neat to see him play as well. And the guys that aren't playing, on a regular basis for South Point, I mean, it's incredible the dudes they have all up and down that roster. I mean, the sideline looks like they could start for almost every high school in the state.
Wow. And for Jazavian too, unfortunately, somebody out there will. Well, I guess it's going to be me. I'm not labeling this. I'm just referencing the fact that somebody out there is going to bring up a very popular name at some point in time from South Point and Stephon Gilmore. But, Jazavian he's bigger than Stephon, right? Isn't he? He's 6'4"? He's a big kid.
Yeah, 6'4". He's a better quarterback than I anticipated. I think a lot of people have actually said that. And, with the new impending hire that Shane Beamer's about to make, who knows? I mean, maybe he does get a look there, but it looks like to me he could play almost every position in the secondary.
Well, good luck trying to wrestle him away from Torian Gray. I think Torian Gray's got a stranglehold on that.
Yeah, and at 6'4", I mean, the comp may be better with Eamon Worry than it is with Stephon Gilmore. I mean, take your pick of great Gamecock DBs that you can compare this guy to, but there's going to be some holes at safety with DQ being gone and Kilgore being out of there. So we'll see where he plugs in.
Moving to the 3A here, Oceanside all over Belton Honeypath, 28-7 to win. What is this? Their third straight state title, I believe, at Oceanside.
Second straight in 3A. They were 2A before that.
Okay. Well, congratulations to them. I'll just call a spade here. Clearly, I mean, the head coach at Honeypath after the game, hey, our kids are. We can tell you what middle school they went to. They're our kids. Those are our guys. They come up and play here, and this is going on across South Carolina and in other states, these charter schools that are able to, draw kids from all over the place. They've got all kinds of defenses for that, and that's fine. But at the same time, they are still playing schools who are drawing from their own hometowns. And so that is a major talking point, whether the Oceanside people like it or not. But they did win the game, so congratulations to them in doing so. Unfortunately, Steve, the game itself became second fiddle to what happened after the game. What did you see out there? How did that fight get started?
Well, the first thing I saw was there was a flash in the corner of my eye, and after the handshake lines. I don't know if there was something said in that line. I don't know, but as you know, I mean, you got to kind of ignore that stuff if it's just words being exchanged back and forth. But it appeared that the BHP player he charged the Oceanside player, and just kind of all hell broke loose after that. In my opinion, I might have an unpopular opinion from a lot of the friends I have in the coaching community and high school ranks, and a lot that the public has. But we need to figure out a way to tone down this charter school versus, traditional public school thing, because it's not getting any better. And I think the reason why we're here in the first place is because we lost our way years ago when high school coaches and their job security were tied to win-loss records. The value of winning in the high school ranks being so important to some of these guys' job security is kind of the first straw that broke the camel back to get to this position, in my opinion.
Well, I hear. I'm not even saying I disagree with you, because I don't know that I do disagree with you, but I don't know that that's going to happen though, Steve. I mean, it's not likely.
No.
I mean, Oceanside, before they beat BHP, I mean, they beat Dillon 42-0. Dillon's a proud football program in town, as we know. They've sent a bunch of players to the University of South Carolina and all over the place. And these places, they're so prideful, they're not going to put that pride aside and say, well, it's okay, when they know that the roster they have versus the roster that somebody else have, they don't equal. Is there a better way to do it? I mean, I know you got the multiplier in effect and you got all these things here, but I mean, if it's going to continue to be I don't know. So I'm just throwing things out there. So if I say something stupid, just stop me in my tracks. But, if there's going to be, this continued talent discrepancy between these type of programs that are, I don't want to say the word recruiting, because I don't want to throw them under the bus, but attracting players from all over the place versus some of these localized schools that are only getting kids out of their town, do you just put them in the best level in the state? I mean, hell, even Oceanside beat Dutch Fork this year. But I mean, if they have to go through teams like that on a week-to-week basis, I guess that's better than not, right? I don't know.
I'd play devil's advocate a little bit here too and say that, being a part of a program this year that's in that charter school sphere, there were programs in the district that, because of the high school portal, were playing with more transfers than from one year to the next that charter school was. Now, obviously,
fair.
There are times when that's going to happen. Steve, what would you say too? And I don't want to hijack the question here, but do you think that we're headed towards open enrollment? Because that's a lot of the discussion that I've heard too. And I think that is one way that potentially you level the playing field, in addition to a high school transfer portal that's already in effect, where we just erase the lines and let people go where they want to go.
Well, to a degree, that's already kind of happened. The South Carolina High School League did create the transfer portal. This year was the first year it happened. Some kids made some mistakes, during the season, prior or just before the season started. You get a one-time free transfer. Every district handles it differently as well. There's some districts that will accept you, but you're going to pay upwards of $6,000 or $7,000 in fees, to be able to do it, which they are wanting to act as somewhat of a deterrence, because they want to protect the slot of their hometown kids and families that are paying taxes into that district, and then also trying to discourage inter-district, transfers. Some districts don't take that approach. So it's kind of all over the map, kind of like how I guess some of the college recruiting stuff goes. I mean, there's different rules in different states and laws. And, you hit kind of what I've been kind of saying in sort of a defense of some of the charter schools. Not that I'm, they need defending necessarily, but there have been transfers going on in traditional public schools for a lot longer than this year. It's not necessarily recruiting, but kind of creating an attractive program where players and parents want to move to with high success. I mean, Dutch Fork gets transfers often. I mean, Jaden Worth, number 44, is a great player. He came from Augusta. Was he recruited? I had no evidence that he was. I mean, he might just wanted to go play for the greatest high school football coach in America, in Tom Knotts. So you have a lot of that too. So I don't know the answer, to be honest. there's a lot of smart people that are running the high school league and a lot of coaches that know exactly how this stuff works. And you can kind of start talking about classifications as well with the multipliers and all that. And there just doesn't seem to be a perfect answer for classifications, for the transfer stuff. I mean, I don't know how we're going to get away from kind of this conversation and just making it kind of what it was like when we grew up, it's very, very different these days, and they gotta figure out a way to maybe make it a little better. But I don't know if you're ever going to get a perfect solution.
Steve Hall, 4-Quarter Friday, presented by the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. It'll be back on the air this, guess what, Friday. Strom Thurmond at the 2A level takes down Hampton County. Tell us about that game.
Man, I thought that was going to be the best game of the weekend. We did not have too many great games throughout all 4 quarters. Dutch Fork and Somerville gave us the best game up until the 4th quarter, before Dutch Fork laid the hammer down. But Strom Thurmond, man, they are so dang good. They're so well coached on both sides of the ball. They shut down an incredible rushing attack from Hampton County. Props to those guys. That's the first time they got there. And Strom Thurmond was able to win their first state championship in 20 years. Their defense just was incredible that night. I mean, they swarmed Jalen Singletary, who had, I think, 47 touchdowns on the year. He broke loose a couple different times, and then they had a few penalties that kind of brought it back. But they just could not get him going, and neither of those teams were wanting to throw the football because of the weather and whatnot, and that's not exactly what they do. But Bryshawn Lee made some incredible throws to Caleb Simpson, who's a North-South selection, and I'll be up there this week up in Myrtle Beach and get the chance to see him play one more time in high school before he goes and plays college football at Campbell.
Oh, wow. Yeah. There was a bunch of good players out there this weekend. That's part of our job here, Steve, is to tell people about some of these guys that they don't even necessarily know about. All right. Is this the 1A level? Yeah, the 1A level with Lamar and Bamberg Earhart. Bamberg Earhart 35, Lamar 21. A couple of very proud programs in that ball game this weekend.
Yeah, Lamar, didn't come out of nowhere for anybody. I mean, everybody always expects Lamar to be good, and they make it to the state championship regularly. But it was cool to see Bamberg Earhart win their first state championship since 1990. They took care of almost everybody on their schedule with authority. I think they were averaging probably over 50 points a game. Nobody gave them a contest until the playoffs, and then they beat a really good cross team to try to get to Orangeburg, and then Lamar jumped on Bamberg early, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll see what's going. They drove right down the field with a power running attack, and Bamberg, tightened some things up, and then after that, it was pretty well handled by the Red Raiders.
Yeah, that was impressive, man. As you pointed out, it really wasn't great football in most of these games. From a it's the final game, the heroic moments type thing. I wish we could play one more game between the winners of these two brackets, the Division I and the Division II at the 5A level. Let's start with Northwestern. Irmo is an outstanding football program with elite talent. Yeah. Coach Brand, those guys, they've got it really going on. Whew. And then there's Northwestern. And I mean, Page and his staff, that Vance kid, I texted him the other day. I think he's going to Lafayette. And he's not a very big kid, is he, Steve? He's only about 5'8", 5'9", maybe, right? Smaller kid. But boy, can he wiggle. You know, if he had 3 or 4 inches on him, he's probably a little bit of a different level prospect, unfortunately. Matter of fact, he's probably a transfer candidate at the college level in the next couple of years. But Northwestern put this thing to bed in a hurry, and they found ways to score on all 3 sides of the ball.
Yeah, it's amazing talking about the Vance kid. I was talking to somebody that day, and it was actually a coach, and we were talking about Corey, or I think his name is Corey Miller, but last name is Miller, receiver for Irma High School, who's getting looks at like by Cincy and Minnesota and some other big name schools. He's a junior, really good player, and we're like, man, Vance doesn't have the offers that he did, and look how similar they are. And the difference was maybe 2 inches. Like the Miller kid on Irma was maybe 5'10". It's amazing what 2 inches can do for college scholarships. But no, Vance, I agree. I think he could, if he continues to add some weight and get stronger, I think there's no question that he could be a transfer later on down the line. And it was funny. Somebody told me that after they had won the game and he was just all jacked up and like, man, I'm reclassifying. I'm not going this year. I'm going to play another year with you guys and try to go 3, get another one. And people had to remind him that, hey, listen, like that's not how this thing works. So, but what was cool about that is seeing how these kids love playing with their teammates. And it just kind of reminded me, like, this is kind of our last frontier of, the purity of the game of football, high school football, and just being able to see kids come together and really play with their brothers. And those guys in Rock Hill, they don't go anywhere. They stay together, and, they kind of went through some adversity to get to that ring.
Well, they sure did, and I've talked to Paige before about his kids and where he gets his kids from. He's like, I'm telling you right now, we get the kids that are zoned for us, and if somebody moves into the zone or something like that, that's fine. This was an offhand, personal conversation one day, and I've known him a long time, so keep that in mind here. They don't run around and try to find players. He's like, I'm going to coach the guys I've got. If these are the guys I've got, and we're not very good, then we just have to make them better. That's my job. And boy, have they. When you watch that offense at Northwestern, what is I mentioned the spacing earlier. I'm not trying to get you much into the X's and O's, but what is most impressive to you? He did mention too the other night their offensive line, and comparing them to past offensive lines there, others around the state. I mean, it was quite the comment.
They were incredible. I mean, Irma's defensive line might be the best in the state, and they were not really a factor at all. I mean, Irma made sure they had 2 safeties in a cover 2, cover 4, the entire night because of how much speed they had on the outside, and they had 5 guys that could really, really elude the secondary and not necessarily, outrun them every single time, but the way they were so shifty, and the way that Paige runs that offense in space, I in the first quarter, I was like, man, I just don't know if Irma's going to be able to make anything happen with the secondary. Is just and their receivers were such a mismatch. The way Northwestern was, calling that game. And, I don't know if there was anything Irma could have done different, to be honest, just because they were just that good.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And when a play breaks down, there's so much space. You get to be an athlete, and you watch their quarterback kind of run around and make something out of it. Just really incredible. And then you had Dutch Fork. And Somerville really hung in there and played as well as they could for as long as they could. And then the Tom Knotts effect, and it just happened. They doubled them up at the end of the night, 40-20, the final score. And maybe how many state championships is that now for Tom? 11?
That is 8 in the last 10. So they've had 2 4-peats, and I think that's his 10th state championship so far in South Carolina, and I think he has another 7 in North Carolina.
He might be the best high school coach in the history of the country. That's crazy.
Apparently there's a guy in Louisiana. I don't know his name, but apparently he's got over like 25 or somewhere over 20. Like, it's just insane. But the talent that Tom Knotts has had sometimes isn't as much as some of these other areas like, Atlanta or even Charlotte. But man, they just don't lose. He's the X factor. The adjustments that he called in that game, Somerville had all the momentum going into the fourth quarter. Jackson Knotts had gotten the ball stripped, and then they returned it for a touchdown, and all of a sudden it's 14-14, and you're like, whoa. And the Somerville defense was playing really well, very, very well. But as soon as that fourth quarter hit, Coach Knotts made some adjustments on the offense. Jackson Knox' legs took over that night, and then the defense started making some adjustments too, and then they just weren't. It was that moment in Remember the Titans. They were not going to gain another yard.
Yeah, they're very impressive. And then of course you get Julian Walker, the Gamecock signee. What did you see from that guy?
Whew. He is a lot bigger than you. Even you see the stuff on the profiles on 24/7. And they just don't do it justice. I think I noticed him last year, especially, and I was like, "Who is that guy?" And I knew Dutch Fork had another player going to South Carolina. It was the linebacker, Josh something. I'm striking I'm striking out on the name, but he 2 years in a row, the Gamecocks have gotten somebody from Dutch Fork, and I thought it was him, right? And no, he was a junior, and I was like, wow. So, incredible. Me and Alex Jones were talking about him a lot. He looks different. He's not like a Jadeveon Clowney type defensive end. Thanks, Josh Smith, Rob. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But he looks powerful. I'm curious if he kind of reminds me a little bit of, I'm striking out again. Devin
Taylor?
Taylor. Yeah, from Beaufort. Similar body types and very athletic, but he's not as twitchy as I would have thought. He's just not that type of defensive end, but he's very powerful and has really good technique and can move fast. It's just not as, it's not Dylan Stewart.
Sure.
So
well, it's hard to be Dylan Stewart from a speed standpoint, as we all know. I look at him, I think Cliff Matthews. I thought about Cliff Matthews almost every time I've looked at him. I think he's a little taller than maybe he might be about the same size as Cliff. Cliff was about 6'4". Devin was 6'7". I think Devin, I remember when Devin came to Carolina, he was about 220 pounds. So he was leaner. Mm-hmm. But I get what you're saying there. I absolutely understand what you're saying. The difference, honestly, let's be honest, right? The difference is, not that I'm taking credit away from Dutch Fork. They deserve all sorts of credit for developing this guy physically. But his dad is Jamil Smith. He is a college strength coach. So this is something that these guys, they are committed to that. They have been committed to that process for a few years. He will be ready from a physicality standpoint, or as ready as you can be as a true freshman to play at South Carolina. Well, we'll see, but that's interesting there. I remember last year, Hale McGranahan, y'all might remember this. We were talking to him here, and he kept mentioning him. He's like, he's not on the radar. He's not in any rankings. I've been sending his name in. The 24/7 hasn't gotten him on there yet. What are we doing? And now all of a sudden, of course, it's blown up, and he's one of the best defensive ends in the country, and he's coming to Carolina, so that's a good sign. Steve, anything else from the weekend you want to mention before we let you get out of here?
Man, I had a recovery day yesterday. I battled through on Saturday, and now I'm ready to get up to Myrtle Beach. North-South All-Star game is going to be this Saturday, December 13th. The players are going to have a great time. It's got a long-standing reputation for the best all-star game, even above the Shrine Bowl for players and coaches, just as far as the experience the kids and the coaches get to have. And Touchstone Energy does a really good job supporting those folks and treats them like royalty. And so Thursday will be a fun day. The players will be able to go to Target and take some local underprivileged children shopping, which is always a ball. They have a blast doing that. And they'll go to Top Golf, and then on Saturday they'll strap it up for maybe the first time as a high school student.
Oh man, it's going to be great. Well, I know obviously I'll talk to you between now and then, but once again, well done this weekend. For those that don't, if you're on X, make sure you follow Four Quarter Friday. It's of course part of our network, and make sure you tune in on Friday mornings and soon more with Steve and the gang. It's going to be. Has been and will continue to be a blast. Well done this weekend, man. I'm glad you enjoyed the state championships, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thanks, guys.
All right, brother. There you go. Steve Hall, part of our network. All right, we're going to step aside, Rob, for a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get back into some Carolina football, and then obviously we will continue to talk about the playoffs and bowl season, et cetera, et cetera. JC and Phil will join us, and we'll be able to have more in that conversation. Hang tight. The morning show built by the Barndo Co. will be right back.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com. Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions, proud supporters of your South Carolina Gamecocks.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
Welcome to SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network. Every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on the Chief Sports app, the Chief Sports YouTube channel, and on our X accounts. Hosted by Rob Williams and Craig McMichael, talking the week that was and what's to come in the SEC. Join us every week for SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network.
It's football season. The Barn Dominium Company wants to help you build your dream home with your dream space to watch the games and entertain your friends and family. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com for floor plans, photo galleries, locations, and to learn more about us.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, ready?
You bet.
Tune in every Friday at 9 a.m. to the Four Quarter Friday High School Show on the Chief Sports Network.
Jeffrey's got space and a touchdown. Can you believe it? Touchdown! He caught on traffic. Scores! Touchdown, South Carolina!
Test ride at Electric Bikes of Charleston today. Road trip ready. Ride comfortably. Forget road fatigue. The Velotric Fold 1 Plus features our exclusive Comfort Max frame design for an effortless, upright riding posture and a low step through. With an adjustable seat and stem, you'll be feeling great and ready for the next campsite adventure. Your back will thank you. Visit Electric Bikes of Charleston. ElectricBikesCharleston.com.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com. Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions, proud supporters of your South Carolina Gamecocks.
Are your wood floors dirty, scratched, worn, or unsightly? Refinish your hardwood floors with Recoat Revolution, your solution for dull wood floors that need an upgrade. Our one-day, dustless wood floor refinishing process is simple, effective, and affordable. Our goal is to serve as many customers as possible, so give us a call in South Carolina, 803-397-1365. Or visit us at recoatrevolution.com. Go Gamecocks!
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever, and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks!
Bells will be ringing. This sad, sad news. Oh, what a Christmas to have the blues. My baby's gone. I have no friends to wish me greeting once again. Choirs will be singing Silent Night, Christmas carol by candlelight. Please come home for Christmas. Please come home for Christmas. If not for Christmas, by New Year's night.
All right, 11:40. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the morning show built by the Barndo Co. and presented by our friends at the South Carolina Education Lottery. It is jackpot season and stocking stuffer season. There is noise coming out of one of my speakers. Which one is that? Which computer is that coming from? I don't know. I think we're good now. $5 Carolina jackpots can be stuffed into those stockings this holiday season, and maybe, just maybe, you win yourself a couple $100,000. Maybe it's not 200 grand. Maybe it's like 100 grand, Rob, or 50 grand or 25 grand. Either way, it's a great Christmas present. Make sure you get your Carolina jackpot $5 scratch offs and enter them in the Players Club app. You could be another winner at the University of South Carolina during a women's basketball game with an opportunity to win up to another $100,000. The Carolina jackpots helping fund the lottery that helps fund scholarships for almost 250,000 University of South Carolina students in the last 23 years. Again, the news from the university today: Kent State will be the home opener for South Carolina on Labor Day weekend, which is backed up a week this coming year. And then Towson will make their way to town the following week. Thursday night, we'll get the full SEC slate and then the schedule will be complete for 2026 Gamecock football and the rest of the league. By then, we are pretty comfortable in saying that South Carolina also will have announced the hiring of an offensive coordinator and most likely, or more than likely, the hiring of additional position coaches. Kendall Briles continues to be trending heavily towards landing on the sidelines with Shane Beamer. Notre Dame, we touched on this at the end of the first hour. Now there's more. Pete Bavacqua, who's the AD in South Bend, was on with Dan Patrick this morning, and he called out the league, the ACC. Did you see this? Have you seen this yet?
I saw a quote. I didn't obviously see it, but yeah.
Yeah. He said that the ACC has done permanent damage to its relationship with Notre Dame, referencing the fact that 24 sports, not football though, 24 of their other sports are in the league, and football has an agreement with the ACC to play all these games. They weren't upset with Miami, the institution, or the athletics department, and how they promoted themselves to get into the playoffs. They were upset with the league and the fact that the league was singling out not Miami's victory over Notre Dame earlier in the season, and providing all these graphics and re-showing the game multiple times and stuff like that to try to get the Hurricanes in there. I would venture a guess here. This is just a guess, Rob. And hear me out. Maybe I'm dead wrong on this, but I would venture a guess that the ACC felt like Notre Dame was already in the playoff, and they were trying to get Miami in there as well. I don't think that what they're trying to do is eliminate. Notre Dame had been ranked inside safely the playoffs for the last few weeks. I don't think the ACC was sitting here thinking, well, we got to get Notre Dame out of there. We want to really put a stranglehold on this. We want them pissed. Now, if you had to pick one or the other, what is the ACC going to do? They're going to promote Miami because they're a full-fledged member of the ACC. Notre Dame has chosen to not do that in football. So what are you talking about? What are they doing up there? Like what? How more elite can you possibly get? You got screwed this year, and you've made the playoffs in years when you shouldn't have been in the playoffs, FYI. So it's everybody else's fault but yours? I don't know. Everybody gets mad at Alabama, who had 3 losses this year, and they say, well, should have just beat Florida. Should have just beat Florida State. Well, they also had 7 top 35 FPI wins, which was 6 more than anybody else. Something crazy like that. I don't know the exact stat, but whatever. So everybody's pissed at Alabama. Well, hey, guess what? Notre Dame should have beat Miami. How's that sound? You know what I mean?
Well, here's the other thing they could do is they could just become a full-fledged member, and they would have been competing on conference championship weekend.
Yeah.
And problem solved. But they don't want to do that. So they can talk irreparable or permanent damage or whatever his quote was, all that he wants to. But as long as they continue to operate in an elitist mentality and feel like they're too good for the conference system, then they've kind of made their bed. There are pros and cons to the setup that they're in, but you have to know that going in. Here's the other thing that I think that we have to take a look at when it comes to the College Football Playoff Committee, which I continue to despise and openly speak against the current selection format. And I will forever say we need increased metrics and more computer influence in this, because the variable of putting human beings who are primarily evaluating based on limited sample sizes, because we know for a fact their schedules don't allow for the mass consumption of football, and then for their opinions to really come into play based on the universities that they are employed by in a lot of cases, or media outlets they're employed by, or whatever the case may be. There's going to be bias with human selection. And so giving them full power to select this field has caused us some issues year in and year out. But they've flat out told us at this point with their actions that they're going to give us written criteria to try to dupe us into thinking that they are following some type of guideline, and then just do whatever the heck they want to do. They're just going to throw it together however they want to throw it together. I'm not trying to push conspiracy theories here or anything, but having Miami behind Notre Dame up until the last poll does speak a little bit to, do we want to just stir some drama here? Like Hunter Yurachek's explanations for why those two teams could not be evaluated against one another are absolute hogwash. And Reese Davis did a good job on the show yesterday.
Did a great
of
job
pressing into asking those questions to say, why, if they're in the same evaluation group, have we not had this head-to-head sticking point before? And Yurachek keeps going back to, well, they're not back-to-back. They're not back-to-back. We needed to
BYU.
BYU had to clear out and not be the buffer at 11 between 10 and 12. Then we got them back-to-back and we were able to look at the head-to-head. That's dumb. There's no way, shape, or form that we can't look at the head-to-head matchup because they're 2 spots separated from one another. That's absolutely ludicrous. And
they should have been flip-flop from the get-go then.
They absolutely should have been. So I don't disagree with the end result, but I can't help but in the cynical part of my brain think a little bit that, like, did we align it the way that did they align it the way they aligned it to create intrigue and drama and interest coming into the last week, knowing good and well they were going to rearrange? And I don't remember who said this. Maybe it was Kirk Herbstreit, but tried to drive home the point that viewers have to understand that this committee has stated on multiple occasions that the poll is considered completely unfinished. It is incomplete until all of the data is in. So if there were not a TV product that is being driven by the fact that there's revenue coming in from watching a Tuesday night reveal show every week, the committee would be insulated a little bit more if we weren't revealing this poll every week. If it was just a final ranking that came out and we were still following the AP up until the final week, they would be insulated to kind of move their choices around. But because they're exposed every Tuesday and it's such a big deal, what we're getting is an unfinished product, and the committee's just decided to be okay with that and block out the noise and say, we're going to put them where we put them week to week, but none of it means anything until the last week because we're reserving the right to put them in a jar, shake it up, reevaluate from point A to point B, the beginning of the season to the end, and rearrange them how we see fit to rearrange them once we have all the data points in.
Well, you're right. So once again, money's gotten involved and it has caused more distress in this sport. I mean, it's all a mess. All of it's a mess. I mean, think about everything that's in flux right now, right? Like, you know, from that standpoint, I mean, I've been mentioning for 2 or 3 years, I believe, if you're going to release rankings every week, release them earlier than November so we can at least follow along with the path in which you present. Now, that creates the ultimate transparency for the general public to be able to go back and ask questions based on the information that is given from a ranking standpoint. But if you don't have answers to those questions and you don't have good answers to those questions, then yeah, you're exactly right. And so is Herbstreit. Don't have the show. Don't release the rankings. Or if you want to release the rankings, don't have the show. But there is a contract in place that says they have to do these shows. I think 5 of them is exactly what it is per television. So why is that there? Because they make money on it. So are we going to continue to fall into that bucket? Well, let's continue to let this sport kind of, you know, ruffle its own feathers and screw itself up, but somebody's getting paid on this deal. Or let's do what's best for the sport, and it's basically let's just present the rankings every week and then talk about them at the end of the year and come up with whatever we need to come up with. Either way, none of it's true to college football, Rob. None of it's true to college football. And then you have other issues that are going on. Now you've got discussions about why should we be playing conference championship games, right? Like, I'm fearful that these things are going to go away. Roy Kramer passed away just a couple of days ago. The SEC title game that was created, you know, 33 years ago or something like that, I think is when it was, 1992, or somewhere around there. You know, that became the new model for the sport. You took a division winner, and you went out there and played. All right, well, that wasn't good enough anymore because they wanted to expand the sport financially. They wanted these conferences wanted more money because everything's driven by money. And so now you just have these 16 and 17 team leagues, and you got all these crazy tiebreakers and stuff to put Duke in there. Credit to them. They did go win the championship this weekend. So hat tip to Coach Diaz and the Blue Devils. But you got that. And then you got, you know, once again, you get Alabama and Georgia back in there to play another title game. Well, Alabama loses. They don't move. not an Alabama fan, and I'm not advocating for Alabama, but I do think Alabama should be in the playoff because of their total body of work.
I agree.
Okay, and then you go to the Big 12. BYU didn't lose to anybody this year except for one of the top 3 teams in the country twice. And it's like they were an afterthought in this thing. So, and I guess when you get into the analytics and all the numbers, maybe they aren't deserving when it comes down to the teams that are left to be, chosen from to be in this. But it is not about getting the best 12 teams in there. And everybody moves the goalposts every year when you have these conversations. We're having the same conversation we had last year. And we're having the same conversation we had the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that.
And we'll have it again when we go to 16.
It's going to
continue to have it.
Yes, you can't stop it. There's nothing to do. Like, there's no way unless you have auto bids based on division qualifiers. That's it. That's the only way to stop it, Rob. Like, because you can't. Right now, it is the 12 most deserving teams, and per the criteria in which, by the way, Notre Dame signed off on, it is the 5 highest-ranked conference champions. Okay, well, the ACC fell flat on their face. So if you're Notre Dame, you should be more pissed at the ACC for not giving yourself a real conference champion, or pissed at yourselves for not wanting to be in the league to get the AQ.
That would have solved it. They would have gotten in if Virginia would have won the game.
Yeah, so you got those issues. And you can't, if you go to 16 teams and you say, well, we want the best 16 teams in there. Well, guess what? You're still going to have this issue if you're going to have highest ranked conference champions getting in over 3rd, 4th, and 5th best teams from leagues that are just flat out better.
Yep.
I mean, it just is what it is. So it's not going away. The only way to eliminate this is to eliminate tradition in college football. You realize that, right? Doesn't everybody realize that? You have to eliminate tradition in college football. And what does that mean? That means that you have to go strictly to divisional, like the NFL, the divisional model, and you take the division winners, and then I don't even know how you would come up with a wild card necessarily, because the leagues are still not balanced, and they're not going to be balanced, even if they're not balanced in the way that it shows right now. The SEC is light years better than the ACC. Light years. I don't care what happens in bowl season. We all know that. Everybody knows that. So is the Big Ten. So if you went to a 16-team or a 24-team playoff or whatever the case is, and you had, well, it should be the top 4 teams from each league. Well, then what's the argument going to be, Coach Williams? The argument's going to be that the 8th best team in the SEC is better than the 4th best team in the ACC.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're never going to get out of this. The only way you do it is just go to winners. That's probably the only way to save bowl season. And then the way to save bowl season where teams actually take their bids is to put contracts on players where they got to go play the game. So
yeah, absolutely. And so you started off this conversation talking about conference championship games and money and your fear that these conference championship games may be on the way out. I think that may actually be closer than the bowl season fade. And here's why. We had Tony Siracusa on last night. He's the managing editor at Last Word on College Football, where Craig and I both started. And he covers the ACC. So he's in Charlotte. He was at the game. He's in every press conference. He's talking to ACC officials. And he asked the question about these conference championship games, which the ACC doesn't do themselves any favors by putting it in Bank of America that they can't fill up or get anywhere close to. But the word coming out of that league office is that the SEC is the only one making money off of this game, that the Big Ten is breaking even, that the ACC is losing money consistently every year for this game. And so if the only league that makes money off a conference championship game is the SEC, it stands to reason that the SEC people, us, are the only ones heavily advocating to keep it around, because there is the most college football tradition rooted in SEC grounds, and the SEC is monetarily benefiting from it. If the other leagues aren't making any money, then we're on the fast track to get rid of those games.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that at all. I think it's actually very well said. By the way, if you had no ACC championship game and you had the 5 highest ranked conference champions, guess who else is in? Virginia, right? Virginia's in the field right now. So I think Herbstreit said it best. Keep playing the title games. Probably need to work on tiebreakers and how you're putting teams in there. Of course, Duke is going. y'all set the rules. We're just abiding by them. I mean, sorry that the rest of y'all can't win the games you need to win to get in, but we got in. But keep playing the title games and then just rank the 16 teams. Who cares what league they come from? If you win your conference championship game and you're not one of the top 16 teams, then you're not in the playoffs. You're still a conference champion. Okay, you're still a conference champion. Congratulations, you won the league. But the league wasn't very good that year. Tough luck. You're going to have to go play in a bowl game. Just give us the best 16 teams. If they're all out of the Big 10 and all out of the Big 12 in the year 2035 and the SEC is shut out of this thing, then the SEC needs to get better. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
There's a little bit of like everybody deserves a trophy in this thing, or everybody deserves an entry with a trophy. That's bull. I mean, I just don't think that's never the way that college football has been structured. And we're trying to structure it there in a framework that doesn't fit. So just rank them. We can complain about the rankings every year, Rob. That's fine. If we're going to have rankings,
and
we're going to complain about rankings. Right. They're not – you can't – I guess you could. But as it stands today, they're not going to an NFL-style model. So that fix isn't going to be on the table, I don't believe. Maybe
the only way to really do that is to dissolve the conferences. If you wanted to go to a true NFL style model, then it would be regionalized. We would dissolve everything, and that's where we would get a quote unquote level playing field in a way to kind of regionalize it, make different divisions, and put teams into a college football playoff.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Right. That's the only way, because even if you do it as it is now, it doesn't work because of the strengths of the league, as you said. What's your thoughts on a G5 playoff? And in addition to that, if a G5 playoff was created, what about the people who say then the Power 4 and the G5 don't need to play in the regular season anymore if the G5 is going to become their own thing and run their own playoff?
Yeah. I mean, it would be better for the programs to have their own playoff. Number one, from a monetary standpoint, they'll make more money on it. And number two, it wouldn't take away from the teams that deserve to be in it at the Power 4 level, right? So I think, if you were able to chop that up and split them up, I think it's probably better for the sport. I mean, you're asking me my opinion, so I'm giving you my opinion. My opinion could certainly be altered if somebody comes up with a different solution. As far as not playing goes, I mean, Look, this is going to sound kind of bizarre, but just hear me out here. We're all from this beautiful, wonderful, amazing, the greatest state in the world of South Carolina. And so, we all have, Phil, you're up there in Furman Wofford country. I'm down here in CSU Citadel country, College Charleston, undefeated since forever. Programs like that in the FCS, we have seen the benefits that they receive from playing Power 4 games. It basically keeps their athletic department afloat and provides more opportunities for all those kids, football, basketball, soccer, tennis, whatever, to be able to go to college and compete with scholarships and things like that, right? So, if you're going to play a game every year, or maybe two, but I guess a game every year that's basically a money game at the Power 4 level, I'd rather see them play the FCS than the G5. I would personally. Now, it would eliminate some great history from this sport where we have seen these G5 teams upend some of these Power 4 teams. There's no question about that. But we can't keep it all the same the way that it's been for the last however many decades. It continues to evolve, and in my opinion, it continues to get worse. Like, everything just has a major issue with it. There's a question mark over everything in the sport. So if you separated the G5 and that pulled them off the schedules of the Power 4 and you replaced it with FCS teams that you should beat, minus a couple of times in South Carolina's history, but, you separate it and you just put FCS teams on there, then, those games don't matter when you win, but they do matter when you lose at the power level. And the G5 runs off into the G5. And guess what? They can schedule FCS games too, for what it's worth. So I don't know. I don't even know that I gave you an answer there. I'm just kind of rolling out what the scenarios might be. I mean,
yeah.
every single year, like, I guess, Rob, my point is, like, every year with this stuff, we feel like they're solving a problem, but I feel like it continues to be a game of college football whack-a-mole. Like, when you've solved one issue, another one arises. Again, BYU, I don't have like all the statistics and the analytics and the numbers in front of me, and I didn't do a good enough job of setting this program up to go prepare myself with those. So I owe everybody an apology there. So maybe I'm wrong or right, I don't know, in saying this, but just on the surface, and when we have said for years, I say I'm going to pin this more on the national people. This was kind of their narrative when this system came out. Why should you be penalizing somebody who's earned the right to play in a conference championship game? They shouldn't be penalized. Well, Alabama this weekend wasn't penalized, and I know their numbers. 7 FPI top 35 wins. That's more than anybody in the sport. But BYU's going, well, we played there, and we lost to the team that's one in the top 4 in the country twice. I know it wasn't pretty, but we beat everybody else. We got penalized. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's no.
Yep. No, I mean,
I don't know.
It creates an interesting and difficult scenario because we have contradictory points all across the board, and unfortunately, we've come to a point of living with that with the committee, and really expecting it, not even reacting to it, but being prepared that they're going to do things that contradict themselves and have no real explanation for it.
Well, and I'll say this too. And I think that, Rob, you've been in media long enough now, and Phil's been doing it for what, 4 years, and JC obviously, since the 70s. You made a point earlier, Rob, which I think is just an amazing point, and I could change this because I host the show, so ultimately I'm to blame. But we have spent a segment and a half today talking about this and not about the games. Like, they just got done playing championship games this weekend. And I can tell you right now, when we get to March, when we cut the mics on during March Madness, we're not talking about the structure of the tournament. I mean, it might occasionally come up with should we expand to 150 teams and just let everybody in and give everybody a trophy? But like when college baseball happens in May and in June, I mean, if y'all listen to our segments with Stuart Lake, we're talking about the ball games. Like, it has nothing to do with the structure. There might be some reaction to teams that didn't get in, like when Holbrook's team got screwed 2 years ago, and that's the extent of it. But then you move on. You're not talking about tearing the whole system down. You're just talking about the selection process and the committee. We haven't spoken one time today about the fact that Alabama got their brains beat in by Georgia for the first time in an SEC title game without their star running back, and I get that. And if he was there, would that have made a difference? I don't know, but it's talking about the game. Or the fact that Indiana, this might be the greatest turnaround in the history of college football ever that we've ever seen. And they just beat Ohio State to win the Big Ten championship. And we haven't mentioned it.
And on the flip side, we have great matchups coming up in the first round that we can talk about, games on the field too. It's like any other week where we have games that were just played, we have games that we're now looking forward to, and so we look back and see what data can we gain from what we watched on the field, and then we can project what's going to happen in matchups that we have coming up. But this conversation about the structure of college football, and it's not just the College Football Playoff Committee, that's the topic of the week. But the off-the-field mumbo jumbo has become so loud, whether it's coaching carousel, contracts, the calendar, the college football playoff, the transfer portal, NIL deals. It's drowned out everything else. And we show up because of the game.
Yeah.
And we don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not just you. It's not just me. It's everybody across the board.
Yeah, like, what's the better matchup? Tulane at Ole Miss, James Madison at Oregon. We'll get to some of that later on in the week, but generally you have that reaction on Monday.
Yeah.
And we have done nothing to talk about it. I mean, this is, JC's mentioned this before. I think we've all mentioned this in some way, shape, or form. Like, this is the exhaustion that this sport is creating on the people that have built it and kept it, as in the fans. Like, if it wasn't, there was a time, right, guys, and we all lived through it here in Columbia, South Carolina, where every 10 years or so they were needing to add seats. You know, it's like, I mean, why do you think Neyland is 100,000 people? I mean, people, it's, you know, and now we're all exhausted with it. It's like, I'd rather stay home, watch it on TV, you know, and then after this, I don't even care who goes in the transfer portal. Like, when has that ever been the case? It's self-destructing, unfortunately. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. So,
yeah, it's
anyways,
kind of
good morning,
sad.
guys.
I don't know, but don't let Notre Dame, get you to start feeling for them, because
I don't feel for them at all.
No, I
Screw
know,
them.
but just
Not
in
one ounce.
general, yeah. Here's the thing: is that Notre Dame has assurances and a memorandum of understanding saying that in the 2026 season, so starting next year, they get an automatic qualifying spot if they are 11. Like, so this year they would have been guaranteed a spot, whether deserving or not, if what happens next year. And if the playoff expands to 14 and they're sitting at 13th, then they also get an automatic qualifying spot, because they have negotiated that in the newest memorandum of understanding that came out before this season. So yeah, I hate it. Cry me a river, Notre Dame. You got left out, and the big bad ACC was being mean to you with the committee lobbying for one of their own teams. Quite frankly, I really don't think Miami nor Notre Dame should be in, and they should put Vanderbilt in there, but that's just me.
Well,
and that's not being an SEC homer. I just think that that's a more complete team than, well, definitely Miami, arguably Notre Dame, but yeah.
Well, we can all rattle off multiple years where Notre Dame was in the playoff and they shouldn't have been in the playoff.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, how many times have we seen? I mean, I can think of 2 championship games where they just got their butts handed to them.
Yeah, I mean, screw that. You know what I mean? I'm not hearing it. And if they want to draw a hard line in the sand, like, do they think that they're the ones that are keeping the ACC propped up? No. As a matter of fact, if the ACC could have it their way, they take Notre Dame football and screw the other 24 sports. They don't need them. You know what I mean? Like, the ACC isn't that good anyways, but Notre Dame's part of that in all the other 24 sports. I can tell you right now, Notre Dame basketball, maybe women's basketball, but Notre Dame basketball and baseball and all the other Olympic sports, what are they doing for the ACC that the ACC isn't capable of doing themselves? Nothing. So if you want to draw that line in the same, you know what? They've done permanent damage. Well, then go out and make your own schedule, boys. Because guess what? Everybody's going to 9 and probably eventually 10-game league schedules. And if you don't want to schedule the ACC, I got news for you. The SEC sure as hell ain't going to do it. You really think that they're going to play 9 league games a year and then just take 5 or 6 of their teams and say, throw Notre Dame on the schedule? No. So you're not going to have anybody to play. So you can play Oregon State and Washington State over and over and over again and see where you land once you get to December the 1st. Have at it.
Yeah, they kill me with Notre Dame. I mean, it's like they're in a world where tradition has been wiped away across the country in this sport, right? That is just slowly but surely, and even sometimes very quickly, being eroded and taken away from the fans. They think that they get to maintain their traditional, set up and structure, and that, that is a good thing for everybody. When it's a good thing maybe for people in South Bend and fans of Notre Dame, but beyond that, it's not good for anybody. And it needs to change. And quite frankly, they should join a conference. This, I don't think, because some people are like, well, this is the committee telling Notre Dame to, join a conference or they're not going to, that's BS.
I think they just lost the game.
Yeah. I mean,
that's how it shook out.
Yeah. Nobody's going to demand Notre Dame joins a conference from that committee. I can promise you that.
It's the committee. Like, the problem is, JB's mentioned this many times. Is the weekly rankings and the twisting yourselves in knots, and then you push some guy like Hunter Yurachek or our boy from last year out there, and they don't know how to explain anything, because the bottom line is they just decided to do it. And the problem is Miami, I can almost bet had Virginia beaten Duke, Miami would not be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we've heard Jim Phillips whine and complain about the ACC. Last year, he squeezed 2 undeserving teams in. SMU did not deserve to go to the playoff. No, they played nobody. But beyond all that, the problem you have is everybody wants everything. Yeah. So, and you got all these different things that pull in different directions. Well, we want super conferences. Okay. Well, you got 18 and 17 teams. Well, we got to make money on our championship game. So we need the top 2 teams. Well, how are you going to schedule it out and make it fair? Well, we'll just take the better teams and put some good, traditionally good teams and bad teams and mix it up. Well, how are you going to do that with the transfer portal and rosters flipping every year? Oh, okay. And so they're holding on, just like Notre Dame's holding on to that tradition and the NBC TV deal and all that, which is a relic. And not joining a conference like the rest of the United States of America. Everybody's holding on to like the cash cow championship games. Oh, well, we have to have this, and it should be 1 versus 2. And so you're basically like in the SEC every year going to have tiebreakers. And the ACC, it bit them in the ass this year because they got Virginia and Duke.
Got a 5-loss team that won the league.
Duke won the whole thing. I mean, it's not. They do things for money and not for the sport. And that's 12 is a stupid number. Now that we're in year 2 of it, I mean, that's a dumbass number. Just, take it back to 8 or take it to 16. 14 is moronic. 14 would be, the 14 team models are, I don't understand that at all.
I don't get 14.
Everybody else
I've never
has
understood that.
basketball has the regionals, the East, West, Midwest. We've had it for 40 years, 16 teams. FCS did go to 24, but before that, guess what they were? 16. High school football playoffs. What are they? 16 on each bracket most of the time. It's easy. It's a nice even number. But everybody wants everything, and it's all about money. I mean, I saw a 16 team. Peter Burns had a 16 team. They have play-in games, and I'm like, why? Well, because we're trying to get people buys, and no, stupid. Stop. If you're gonna have play-in games and have another week of play-in games, then take it to 18. I don't understand. Common sense evades these people. That way, everybody'd get a home game. I mean, when you have Texas A&M fans happy that they lost to Texas because they get a home playoff game.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we got to have calendar conversations too, because at some point we're going to be playing this thing in March.
It's
incredible.
But we can't give up. We make money off this, and it's all about money. And it just, at some point, you have to find a blend, and it gets down to this: there's no leadership. Nobody's driving this ship, man.
Nope.
You got a bunch of kingdoms. It's like Germany before it became Germany. It was just a bunch of tiny countries in the middle of Europe, Bavaria and Prussia and whatnot.
Well, hey, and on that note, like with the buys and all that stuff, not getting a home game and then getting a bye and playing in a bowl game, y'all refresh my memory here if I'm off, but
0-4.
All 4 teams last year lost. I mean, and they're still
none of
talking
them
about
look
this.
good either.
They're still talking about this yesterday on ESPN. Well, they could certainly use a bye. What? What do you mean? What do you mean they could certainly? You don't play for a month. All these teams are losing by just sitting around. I think this whole thing sucks. To be honest with you,
you're getting rusty.
Yeah, and I'm looking at potential second round matchups. Georgia, Ole Miss. If Georgia's hot right now. If I'm Kirby Smart, I'd like to play in 13 days.
It might not be hot in a month.
No, and Ole Miss may be. Texas Tech sits around. Then they got to play Oregon. My God. Indiana sits around. Then they got to play probably Oklahoma or in that defense, or Alabama. Alabama may be back by then. Ohio State sits around. Then they got to play Texas A&M or Miami. That's not easy, and I think the time off between now and the first round is plenty. I don't know that it does you any. Most coaches would say, like, when they have the 14 playoff for the bowls, like, man, the layoff, we're concerned. Well, now there's no concern about the layoff after you went 0-4 last year. I just don't think
dude. I don't think it's getting, and I got to run after this, but I don't think it's getting smaller. I hear you, JC. I know what you're saying about the 8 team. I got it.
No,
I don't think it's.
I hope it doesn't.
It's only going to get bigger. And Herb Street said it yesterday. Hey, crown the conference champions. Let them play the games if they want to. And at the end of the day, still rank the best 16 teams. If you're a conference champion and you're in there, bravo. If you're not, sorry. The league's got to get a little bit better. That's tough luck. You're going to a bowl game.
Most of them will be. I mean, but most of your conference champs will be in the top 16.
Yeah.
I don't,
Exactly.
They need to get rid of the group of 5 too, and create their own product for them. But that's, whatever. But and hey, if it's the top 15 and the only auto bids the top group of 5 team, that's fine with me too.
Well, we'll continue to monitor. I know, JC, you'll talk plenty about Coach Briles and what's going on with South Carolina. Hopefully we'll get some news on that here soon, and we'll have more on it tomorrow. Rob, well done, man, as always. Thank you very much.
Good job today, Rob. See you guys.
You mean?
All right, guys.
I should not have screamed in terror that fine day. Saw that purple wig and did not know what to say. It left me sort of startled and confused. Red lips and white makeup and those big old red shoes. But my daddy tore a knot in me for being so damn rude. He said, son, don't you know that clowns are people too? Clowns are people too. Big red shoes. Clowns are people too. Don't be rude. If you weren't a bit lucky, then this could easily be you. I met your mom when she was up on that old trapeze. What can I say, but hey, I had a thing for circus freaks. I started watching Bozo and warmed to the movie It. Killer Clowns from Outer Space to me was a big hit. Some people like McDonald's because of Mayor McSheese. But Ronald is my homeboy now, and Krusty and Pinky. Clowns are people too, big red shoes. Clowns are people too, don't be rude. If you weren't a bit lucky, then this could easily be you. I met your mom when she was up on that old trapeze. What can I say, but hey, I had a thing for circus freaks. Clowns are people too. Clowns are people too. Now I own some tiny horns and got me those red shoes. I don't know much, but know one thing that's true. If you don't know anything, just know that clowns are people too.
Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Fired off here on a Monday, Mad Dog Monday. That's right. We are live from the mountains to the sea in the great state of South Carolina, coast to coast, nationwide, and worldwide via the World Wide Web. I am Phil Mad Dog Mullinax, up here cutting through the orange fog and the real thick regular fog of the upstate of South Carolina. And as always, my co-host, JC Sherbert from Points Unknown. JC, we've got news coming in. A name has emerged late last week for the potential offensive coordinator opening that wasn't necessarily one I think that was at the forefront of the discussion last week in Kendall Briles. And of course, the College Football Playoff Committee has done what they do and left everybody wanting. Over the weekend, we now have our 12 teams that are in the playoff. I will not call them the top 12 teams because there's no way in hell that this is the top 12 teams in the country. It's just the 12 that we put into what would formerly be called the Notre Dame Big Ten Invitational, but now it's just the Big Ten Invitational. So no need to go waving your SEC flags, everybody, even though they did get a majority of the field versus all of the other conferences, independents, and group of 5, because this was an outlier year, folks. And I can promise you, if there were any cracks that they could have removed Alabama out of this thing as a 3-loss team, they would have. So don't delude yourself. This is not the SEC is taking over everything. It's just because of the way things shook out. I promise you, if BYU, JC, had won, Alabama would not be in this.
Probably not. Although they would have to have dropped them below Miami because, the ACC seems to have done that. And I'm like, well, look, Notre Dame, Miami, I think when you look at my issue with it was that the comparison, they were like, they finally got to this point where it's a head-to-head comparison. I'm like, well, how did you do that? And why what changed between last week? Well, BYU lost, and so then we got a side-by-side comparison. I mean, you had to know, you have to be living under a rock if this wasn't brewing. And I think that's what's got Notre Dame pissed off. Nobody's going to feel sorry for Notre Dame, nor should they.
No.
But at the same time, when I watch those two football teams, Notre Dame lost by 3 points with a first-time starter at quarterback on Miami's home field the first week of the season, the same day Carolina played Virginia Tech. Okay. I'll watch those two football teams. Notre Dame's better than half the field.
Right.
Notre Dame is a good
football team. I mean,
they are a good football team. Now listen, flip this around. Part of Notre Dame football, okay, and how they became Notre Dame was Michigan wouldn't play them. Right? There's a lot of history there. This is why they never joined the Big Ten, because Notre Dame's up near Michigan. It's near the Michigan border. You can be in Michigan. I stayed at New Buffalo, Michigan. Wife and I went over and met my in-laws at a casino. I think it's the Talking Wind or something like that. Four Winds Casino over there. One right after the pandemic. Drove over there, and no, Daddy-O, I'm not saying this just because it's my wife's a Notre Dame fan. I'm being realistic about all this. But I do think they're a good football team and deserve to be in. I think when you look at their lines of scrimmage and their skill players and how much Carr's gotten better, I just defense, offense. I mean, they're actually really good. However, let's go back to that. So Notre Dame, South Bend is close to Michigan. It's close to Chicago, close to Michigan. It's not really northern central Indiana. And so back in the day, it makes sense for them to go play Michigan in Ann Arbor. Well, Michigan said, we don't want this Catholic school becoming great at football. We're not going to play them. And so Newt Rockney or whoever, that was the thing. That's why they have a rivalry with Southern Cal. He put them on a train and said, we'll play anybody, anytime, anywhere. So for years, Phil, that was their battle cry. It didn't always work out where they had a tough schedule. It didn't always work out to where all the 11 or 12 teams they played were really good. But more times than not, you did look at the teams Notre Dame played, and they'd schedule these games all over the country, and that's how they kind of justified it, and that's why they got a national following. Sure, they'd play Army and Navy, but they'd also play Michigan every year. They'd play some SEC teams. They'd play Pac-12 teams. They'd play Stanford. They'd play Southern Cal. I mean, Florida State, Miami. I mean, it was anytime, anywhere, right? Well. Then they decided to sign a scheduling agreement with the ACC because they needed to find a home for their other sports that wasn't the Big East. So that happened. So they got 5 of these puppies a year. Plus, they still play service academies. Plus, Stanford's in the hole. They play Stanford just about every year. So that's 7 games out of 12. And then they've scheduled like Purdue. Purdue's down a little bit, right? A little.
Yeah. Anybody, anytime, any place that isn't any good.
There's no more Michigan or Michigan State. There's no. They still play Boston. So that's really made they're like an ACC light schedule, right? Every year. And this year, my God, Syracuse, Stanford's now ACC. It just it baffles me. So they do have a scheduling problem. Now, to their credit, they're not scared to play Arkansas or Texas A&M. They put them both on the schedule the same year. They opened with 3 on paper challenging teams. But I think for them to ever get back, Phil, to the point where they play a top 10 schedule every year, to even come close to the ACC and to the SEC and some of the Big Ten, they got to get out of this ACC thing.
Yeah.
Because the conference, it's, maybe someday the conference will cycle back up. So like the year that they ended up, it was a year they made the playoff. Was it the year they played for the BCS or the year they played Clemson and got torched? I don't remember which one. And Jamie's right. There's years where you look at, it was the year they got torched by Clemson.
Yeah.
So I think they were undefeated, and of course they got in. And they played a lot of name teams, like they played Florida State. Well, Florida State was 5-7. They played Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Well, they were 6-6. And they, like every team on their schedule that had a big name, they did not have a good year. So they had a donkey. Southern Cal was 5-7 that year. So they had a donkey schedule and got in. And that's, that they do get preferential treatment that way. But as it becomes more and more like kind of like the Hunger Games when it comes to getting in, it's like life and death for college football programs. There are more, Jamie's right. There's more people that don't pull for Notre Dame that do. There's going to be some pressure there. Either start playing a tough schedule, which is going to be challenging, as Jamie mentioned, with 9 conference games all over the place. Or you suffer the consequences. If Notre Dame had played, somebody just kind of in the middle of the pack, other than Stanford and Virginia and all those teams down the stretch, Pitt was pretty good. That was a nice win. I think they would have been in. I think they absolutely would have been in. But it's just one of those things where I'm ambivalent. I think eyeball test wise, I think Notre Dame's better than Miami or Alabama right now. I would like their chances, but that's not how you pick a field. You don't do it based on my opinion or anybody, certainly not anybody on the committee's opinion about the eyeball test.
No.
You have to do it by metrics. And I think the metrics, Miami also, after they lost to SMU on the road, Miami's losses are a lot worse than Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost to Miami, but then lost to Texas A&M 11-1 football team by 1 point. At home in week 2.
Yeah.
But when you kind of compare the whole thing, other than, okay, Notre Dame's losses are better. Miami's losses are worse, but Miami's losses came later in the season, but Miami kind of turned it around. They've been kicking the crap out of people too. They beat the crap out of Pitt later after Notre Dame did. Just thumped them. So they have been playing better. We probably haven't noticed it because they're in the ACC and they've just played donkey. And they were, I thought they were the best football team in America in September. So, they can go out there and give A&M a game. Certainly A&M's going to play well to win. But, at the end of the day, I understand the disappointment by Notre Dame, but I also understand that this sets the table to kind of explore the Notre Dame issue, right? And to ask questions and to ponder it. And I don't know if a resolution will ever come out of it, but I think you treat them kind of like you treat the Rose Bowl and say, look, we love you, but we don't need you.
No.
I mean, we don't have to have you. And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, Phil. But I think that it does start a conversation. Now, should they have pulled out of the bowl game? No.
And there's no way in hell that was a unanimous decision to do that.
I know what this. You don't think the seniors on that team wanted to play one more time?
It's ridiculous.
That's why, like, Kansas State had a bad, disappointing year. Really got in a twist roster-wise. You could tell it when that quarterback had a terrible game in Ireland and they lost.
Yeah.
And then his dad and brother getting a fight in the parking lot and embarrassed the entire university. Everybody traveled all the way over there and they got their butt. Nothing was right since that trip to Ireland. Those trips to Ireland, man, this second straight year. Now, Kansas State was not Florida State bad, but they did not have. I mean, they were actually a pretty good football team. I mean, they had Utah dead to right and blew it in Salt Lake City. I mean, they rushed for like 300 yards against them. But Chris Kleiman said, I can't do this anymore. I'm out. I'm done. And so Colin Klein, an alum, gets the job there, right? And so, you sort of look at it and it's like they just pulled out of the bowl because it's not going to be convenient. And, and I guess and if I were a Kansas State fan, I think that every single solitary one of those players that voted not to play in the bowl, I don't want them on my team anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not giving.
Yeah.
That's the one situation where I'm cool with people saying no more NIL money till they're gone, because that's just trash. Nobody's thinking about the fans. Nobody's thinking about the fact they live and die with Kansas State football. They just want one more game. And then Iowa State turning down a bowl is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean, it is insane.
I know.
That may be the last time they ever go to a bowl.
Right. It could be a very long time in Ames, Iowa before you see a bowl game.
Crying. Matt Campbell loses nothing. No, Matt Campbell stayed there 10 years, bro.
Yeah. You're lucky you didn't leave that long ago. I mean,
you hired an alum, the guy that was the one guy that would take the Washington State job last year.
Right.
You hire him and you swipe their coach. That's awful. Washington State's lost coaches back to back to Wake Forest and Iowa State. But I mean, Cyclone Nation just doesn't get to see their team play anymore. We just don't think it's in the best interest. Now I understand, like, there were a bunch of 5 and 7 teams that turned down bowls yesterday. And I understand that, because right now, if you weren't planning on going to bowl, you've already packed it up. Everybody's scattered. Some guys aren't even in school anymore. I mean, it's leave. I mean, it may be hard to put it together. But what killed me was Iowa State and Kansas State were like, Notre Dame just let it be known. We're not going to play in a bowl because we're pissed about this. I can halfway respect that. I think it's childish, but I can halfway respect that because you're just being truthful. Iowa State and Kansas State pulled the safety thing. We don't have enough players to safely practice and play. Okay. All right, let me break this down for you. Do you have 48 players?
Yeah, right.
Because Marshall, who I lost all respect for last year, who also had a coaching change, right? These are coaching change moves. This has nothing to do with safety. Right. Marshall did the same thing. They're like, we only have 59 players. I'm like, if you have 59 players, that's plenty to go play. NFL teams play with how many? 47, 50?
It's a 53-man roster.
53-man roster.
You don't see 115 kids on the side of a high school game, do you, JC?
No.
So, I mean, above and below you, it's
safe.
perfectly fine. What do you mean
it's not safe to practice and play. Don't football gets a bad rep by certain corners of our society anyway, because they don't like, they think it's too violent or too masculine or whatever. And, when you start to dig into these people that write these bad things about football, you kind of look at them on, and see what they're all about. And that's fine. But some of these people have a voice, and you're a football program that's adding fuel to the fire because you're using an excuse. you're excusing. It's an excuse. At least Notre Dame was like, we're too pissed off to go play.
Too mad to
Our
play.
feelings are too hurt to
That's
play
right.
in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Hurt our feelings to go face off against Vanderbilt and the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, I would rather, dude. I would have rather Notre Dame said we are not comfortable playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl because of the sacrifice of the live Pop-Tart.
Right. Yes.
And the I would have rather go on religious and said we have religious.
That's right. We have we don't think it's right to personify sacrifice of a breakfast pastry.
But hell, they were going to play BYU, dude.
Right.
I mean,
listen, Catholics
BYU's
versus Mormons,
cool with it,
for all the marbles.
I mean, I would have rather objected on religious grounds than anything. But at least they didn't say it's not safe for our players to play. But I don't know. I think that's ridiculous. Nana's Porch chat box. I know everybody wants to know about Kendall Briles. I don't have an update. I'll say this, in my opinion, I think time, the way we measure time on the internet, and when there's a breaking news or a news event we are waiting on, our timeline is sped up. It's like, well, we're waiting,
waiting.
And it just, real life doesn't go that fast. And I understand, I mean, other coaching vacancies get filled, and you're kind of like, around here sometimes like, oh, not happening, because if you get out in front of it, everybody's excited, and it's not happening. It's very disappointing. And and you've been disappointed all year, so nobody really wants to be disappointed anymore. This is interesting. Tennessee fired Tim Banks, their D coordinator.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't think coaching had much to do with it. It probably had a little something to do, Phil, with having multiple starters out all year in the secondary.
Yeah, that might be I don't want to always blame strength and conditioning for injuries, but maybe you look there before you look at the coordinator. Unless maybe Heupel just didn't like the scheme, thought it was too much,
yeah,
or the way he tried to do it. I'm not sure.
I've never been like super duper fired up about Banks. I thought he's okay. He certainly had a good year when they went to the playoff, but I never really thought, relative to like all the talent they had on the D line and stuff. But that offense, though, I mean, you're going to give up certain points and yards and things like that. It may just be time. Josh Heupel, it's his 5th year.
Yeah,
it may just be time to go in a new direction. He was in the mix for the Clemson defensive coordinator job last year. Dabo went down the road with him, from what I understand. So we'll see what happens. But they're firing him. I wonder who they're going to go hire. That will be interesting to see how that works out in Rocky Top. So we'll see what goes on there. The school plane flew to, or one of them. There's 2 school planes. There's the old King Air turboprop that they've had, and then they have a new Citation jet that they've got. So the jet snuck out to Fort Worth yesterday, and it's been in Fort Worth overnight, and it's still there.
Okay,
according to @Gamecock Flights, who does a good job keeping us posted.
Gamecock Flights.
@Gamecock Flights, good job keeping us posted. So, and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got him." So, and so yeah, look. So Cam and the Nana Sports Chat Box said heard Briles is meeting with the TCU head coach today. Well, there was a report. I don't know if it was the Fort Worth Star Telegram or the Dallas Morning News that said that Lauren says it's actually come back now. Oh, so this tweet was 21 minutes ago. Well, maybe it has come back now. So I haven't seen that, which would be a good thing, in my opinion, according to this this person tracking the flight, unless he just doesn't really. I don't know.
Unless he's got bad info. I don't know. I mean,
No, I mean it's true. It's a flight tracker.
Yeah.
So we'll see kind of what happens. But I mean it's got to be true. So, but so there's that. Oh, I just got a nice little text. Yeah, I'm sorry. We got to get a break.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to be distracted today, folks. Just letting you know. So if I start to say something and then trail off, Phil's going to remind me of what I was saying. If his short-term memory works, I don't know. We're kind of both from the same generation.
Hopefully we both took our meds today and we'll be on track.
I know I took mine, but anyway. But yeah. All right. So long story short, Kendall Briles is still looking good for the coordinator job. We'll talk about the other two because there's, and I'll tell you how I screwed up on the Big Spur yesterday.
I
screwed something up. I made a flippant comment that I shouldn't have about one of the potential candidates, and I want to clarify it. That I didn't really mean it. I was just short. You get busy, you type things. That's why sometimes I prefer the spoken word to the written word.
Yeah.
Although I'm pretty good at the written word, I just sound like a prick when I write. Anyway, it says got to start shooting up. I mean, got to start screwing up. Yeah, I know. All right, folks. So, so we'll be back. Don't forget D's Wings, because we love D's Wings. Don't forget to check them out. West Columbia, ample parking. If Kendall Briles news breaks and you're celebrating, go over there and grab a beer, get you a mess of wings, scarf that bad boy down. Right out there. Beautiful West Columbia. It's real beautiful what they've done right there with the condos overlooking the river and stuff. In fact, I wouldn't mind living up on top of one of those. You have a nice river view. You can see the baseball stadium from there.
Yeah, right there over to Founders. Yeah, man. Nice.
If you sell those condos, I want me to advertise for you. jcsherbert@gmail.com. Just jcsherbert. We'll be back after this on the Monday edition of the show.
Hey, this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
Palm Casual Patio Furniture are proud supporters of our Gamecocks. We have been making and supplying the highest quality outdoor furniture you can find for almost 5 decades. If you use your outdoor space to watch the Gamecocks, make it the best it can be. Visit palmcasual.com or visit one of our 4 locations in South Carolina. Go Gamecocks!
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
It's football season. The Barn Dominium Company wants to help you build your dream home with your dream space to watch the games and entertain your friends and family. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com for floor plans, photo galleries, locations, and to learn more about us.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, Tell them, Mid-State Twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
Watch JC and Morgan every week on the Chief Sports Network. Now back to ITG.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Inside the Gamecocks, the show rolls on. Second segment of the show here as we tread lightly into the new offensive coordinator hire. But JC says he's got a couple of things he wants to clear up for what happened on the message boards yesterday. So fire away, Mr. Sherbert.
Well, okay, so I made a comment because Stan Drayton from Penn State could very well be in the mix for the running backs coach job. This guy has a long, I named him National Recruiter of the Year, I think, in either 05 or 06 when he was at Florida. I think it was 06. Worked at Ohio State. He's coached a long track record of running backs, whatever. And in response to a certain poster on the message board that kind of positions himself as an expert, but really and he was kind of trashing Jimmy Smith, right? I bit back. And I said he's not Drayton wouldn't be an upgrade over Marquell Blackwell because I knew Drayton was kind of on the periphery, but I didn't think it was a serious deal because all I'd heard was Smith. And I was just kind of trying to stick up for Jimmy Smith because this guy, watches all this film and stuff. And he has good posts people want to read. And so I usually just don't say anything to him at all. But I don't want to sit there and argue with him. There's room for everybody, even though I own the site. It's fine. People like it and the customers like it, so I let it occur. But I wasn't going to put up with this because the guy, he used this thing. Rocket was not he didn't do blah, 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 technically, because he thinks he's a coach, right? And he looks at everything through that prism. And I'm like, well, most running backs coaches do very little coaching. It's you do some drills, stuff like that, but most of them in college football have been recruiters, and there are some that do get guys better. But running back's one of those things you either have it or you don't. As far as your ceiling goes, now you get stronger, you get faster, you get more experience, you do develop, but it's not like there's some secret development guru for running backs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Rocket Sanders is the epitome of running back development because the guy came to Arkansas as a wide receiver. Is that not good? Don't you have to coach? Now you have to coach those guys because they're in a different position, right, Phil?
Right. Yeah.
They
might have limited experience as high schoolers, but no.
CJ Spiller, who I think still coaching running backs at Clemson, did a good job with Adam Randall, right? That does take coaching. And so I bit back and was just like, he's not any better than Marquell Blackwell. That's not true. That was stupid of me to say. Because the resume speaks for itself. I also think that, while I was trying to defend Jimmy Smith and all that, I also, in my mind, kind of looked at it as, well, Blackwell's a guy that's been at a lot of blue blood schools or a lot of name schools. Not all of them, but South Florida and Ole Miss certainly aren't. But, he had kind of a resume and a name. And I remember him interviewing with Ohio State when he first got here. And Drayton's been at Florida, Ohio State, blah, blah, blah. That was stupid. I should not have said anything at all about it. Should not have mentioned the name. Should not have said it. And there are a few jackasses on the message board that for some reason don't like me or want to argue with me. And a lot of them are the ones that some of them aren't, but a lot of them that were giving me a hard time about it today, which is fine. I have the delete button, so that's good. A lot of those jackasses are people that post stuff wild stuff about trashing Lenora Sellers having rumors, pretending to have inside info about his decision that he's making, all this other stuff.
I saw that one that you were
what
none
so
of this
stupid.
is true, and I'm shutting this thread down.
It's just and they give themselves away because they started like, hey, I talked to my old cousin Bobby Bubba Bill and blah 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 blah, and all that, and so it's like, no, that's not, and it and what's funny about stuff like that is the masses, they don't really care about the details. They just, is he going to go or is he stay? Will he stay? And I repeat myself over and over again. I never say never with the portal. I can't sit here and guarantee anything with anybody.
Right.
But this whole notion that one of them was like, the other players won't sell it. No, the other players aren't idiots. They just want sellers to move on. No, I don't think so. No coach is going to want to bring his own quarterback. No, most coaches understand that you're not going to really get much better than Lenore Sellers, even if you go in the portal and spend a bunch of money. You may get somebody that was more productive last year than Sellers was last year, for sure. That's not going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean anything about 2026.
No. And
so
it could also be a frame of reference where it's against lesser competition too. I mean, while we saw bad offensive game planning and some, execution that Sellers would probably like back this year, you're still doing it against the Premier League in college football.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just like, so I delete stuff like that or tell them they're wrong. That pisses them off. So there's only like 3 or 4 of them, but I didn't want to make it clear because it'll get around. That Stan Drayton's resume speaks for itself, and he's the running backs coach. That's fine. I don't care. I don't really think this hire is a huge hire. And I told everybody I'd probably hire Smith because of his connections to South Carolina, but I am not the coach. My opinion means diddly poo when it comes to that. And I'm partial to people from South Carolina because that's where I'm from. I like it when people come back. Now, I don't think you have to hire an all South Carolina staff or anything like that. Go hire the best coach. But that's why I like Smith. And I was just trying to defend him. But, I came across the wrong way. And then now people are giving me hell about it. But I'll own it. I shouldn't have posted it. I'll own it. So I wanted to clarify that to all of you out there listening that I wouldn't have any problem with Stan Drayton being the running backs coach. He's 55. And if you look at the list of, you also think about this, and this is what I didn't think about when I was firing off a post yesterday, is that guys like him have been recruiting the best of the best for so long. They have connections just from being on staff or whatever of guys probably around the country. And Carolina is going to need to sign a running back or 2 in the portal. The numbers just aren't there.
Yeah.
So, and Jimmy Smith, I'm sure, has connections as well. So there we go. That's all I've got to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Cam's talking about the coaches, the high school coaches. The Kendall Briles videos. Yeah, that's a clinic, I think, at TCU. And that's what happens. These coaching clinics, they're fascinating. They get up and they give a talk and stuff. High school coaches come and talk. It's actually, you can learn a lot of football watching those.
Yeah. And I put the one you referenced in the article on the Big Spur is in the comment thread here from earlier in the morning show. I dropped it in there. That way everybody can check it out and see what we're talking about.
Which article?
The one where you're like, oh gosh, hold on. I might still have
the Kendall Briles article.
Kendall Briles article itself. Yeah.
From last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's the deal there. But yeah, it's just a matter of opinion, man. I mean, man, the last thing I'm worried about right now is who the running backs coach is. I don't care. Just get somebody that can, for once, keep the room intact and good and rocking and rolling, that knows who his best players are. I mean, that should be pretty easy. So Cam mentions JC, they're paying to argue with you. You got to love it. I know.
Yeah.
It's sad. I don't like arguing. Believe it or not, I do not like to argue. I do not. My mother loves to argue. Loves it. Relishes it. Bless her heart. Love my mom to death. Love her. she will, if you say the sky is green and she says no, it's turquoise, even though you're both wrong, she'll argue turquoise till the death. And never ever just does not give an inch. Loves it, relishes it, but not me. I'd rather not, you know. But sometimes it's just like if there's something wrong. I mean, I see so much wrong out there on social media and in society. I can't correct everybody. It's probably dumb too, but
yeah,
you know, sometimes I feel like I need to kind of, if I know something not to be true, I need to correct the record. I'm not arguing with the person that repeated it. I'm just kind of trying to keep it from spreading. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, yeah, some fires need to be put out before, you know,
yeah,
people start to get hurt.
But anyway, enough about the message board right now. I've got to go back to that after we get off, and this is a different audience. Doc says names without substance are everywhere today. Briles isn't one of those. He grew up with a clipboard in his hand. Yeah, I mean, I like Kendall Briles. You know the thing about Kendall Briles, if for those that there's some people a little worried about the stats at TCU this year, and that's kind of one of my big problems with athletic directors nowadays and how they hire people is it's just all about the most recent year, not anything else. You know, why is Matt Campbell like the 8th choice at Penn State when he's probably better than any coach they could have hired outside of Urban Meyer? And I don't know if the rumors about that they talked to Urban Meyer, then they moved on from him are true or not. That's preposterous. But I mean, he's probably the best coach you could hire. Well, it's because, they didn't win the Big 12 this year. They took a step back or some crap like that. Why is Kalani Sitake, a career BYU guy who's done a fantastic job and is a good man, why are they trying to hire him? Oh, he went 11-1 this year at BYU. This year. Do we not care about, you know, I just don't get it at all. But I think sometimes, you know, that falls back on us. We look at it. We just look at the previous year. Oh, they were good this year. They were bad this year. Go hire them. And you know, so there are people that, you know, are concerned about that. But if you are concerned about that, go look at Kendall Briles' first year at every school he's been to, and the offense gets significantly better. Yeah. I'd have to look at TCU because he replaced Garrett Riley there. I'd have to make sure that I don't know that they got significantly better, Phil, his first year there, because that was that team that played for the national championship.
Yeah, that completely.
I don't know, but they didn't win the Big 12,
right?
So, guess who won the Big 12? Kansas State.
That right?
But I'd have to look at
one of the things, if I remember the conversation from earlier today, like they were talking about how the quarterback at TCU is not necessarily who you would draw up for Briles, you know, offense.
No, and neither is, I mean, Sonny Dykes. So Sonny Dykes is more like Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And then Briles is more like Art Briles, Josh Heupel, that kind of stuff. They're kind of the same tree, but way different branches, if that makes any sense at all. So Will says, do you think we'll hear more about who was entering the portal after the end of the year banquet was done last night? Yeah, I expect news to trickle out about that over the coming weeks. It's not as I don't know that it'll be like a flurry. There may be a day where we're all sitting around like we've just been in a knife fight where 5 guys hit the portal at the same time, and we kind of like all of them as players, and it'll feel like a blow. But because the portal is not officially open until January, I think it'll be slow moving with that. But there will be news. Yes.
I saw that come through today. I was like, oh, that's so good.
Yes, it's all over Instagram.
Good, I know.
Before I brought it to the show, I wanted to double check and make sure it was an actual Indian singing.
Right.
And not somebody making fun of Indian people.
Voicing
Hank Azaria or anything.
Yeah.
Nah, this guy's last name Singh, so I pretty much told me it was good. I love it. That puts a smile on my face. Yes.
I haven't heard beyond
I hadn't heard
that
this part.
opening sequence. I have not heard
Makes
this
me
part.
smile.
Maybe we should have listened to this.
All right. You know what else makes me smile? How much Meredith Taylor helps people get good at golf. Go to McKellarEnterprises.org to get 10% off gift certificates for You're the Golfer in your life this holiday season. Also, don't forget Chief Sports Store. Lots of good gift ideas there. If you're struggling, it's on the app. Check it out. Support Chief Sports. We'll be back with the second hour of a much distracted show after this.
Palm Casual Patio Furniture are proud supporters of our Gamecocks. We have been making and supplying the highest quality outdoor furniture you can find for almost 5 decades. If you use your outdoor space to watch the Gamecocks, make it the best it can be. Visit palmcasual.com or visit one of our 4 locations in South Carolina. Go Gamecocks!
It's the end of the model year, and you know what that means at JT's Kia, huge holiday savings.
Up to $10,000 off brand new JT's Kias. We've never had discounts like that.
Drive a new Kia Sorento just $199 a month, or a 2026 Kia Sportage just $159 a month.
Better quality, better warranty, and thousands less than other imports.
No matter your credit, JT can help you get it.
Year-end savings, so you better hurry.
I-77 at Killian Road.
JT's Kia.
Kia Season of New Tradition sales event.
Remarkable, 5-star, sensational. These are just some of the terms used to describe nationally renowned chef William Turner out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Originally from Georgetown, South Carolina, and a diehard Gamecocks fan, Chef Will made his way out west and has served parties from every state and many countries from across the globe. Visit ChefWilliamTurner.com to inquire about private events and more. Food from every culture, all of it first class. ChefWilliamTurner.com and Chef Will Turner on socials. You won't believe what you see. You really won't believe how it tastes.
Home fitness has evolved. With Matrix, now there's no limit to the ways you can chase your goals. It's time to make your next workout whatever you want it to be. You can use all of your subscriptions or none at all. Take on exclusive HIT programs or move through immersive HD destination footage while you sweat.
Visit CharlestonFitnessEquipment.com and start your New Year's plan today.
Introducing this year's Carolina Jackpot $5 scratch-off ticket, featuring a chance to win up to $200,000. You can even enter your tickets into the Second Chance promotion. Step on the court for a chance to win $50, $75, or $100,000. This Palmetto Series lets show who really runs this state.
Food tastes better without the shells. Get the shell out of here. Visit GameDayNuts.net and change your boiled peanut experience forever.
Gamecock Traditions ships to your doorstep, and we're here to help make your gift-giving experience easier and affordable. Shop the widest selection of Gamecock apparel and gift ideas at Gamecock Traditions. Youth, women's, and men's apparel fully in stock. Jewelry, kitchenware, tailgate gear, and so much more. Shop and ship today. Happy holidays from Gamecock Traditions.
Cause
Welcome back, everybody, inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndo Co. We are rolling into the second hour of the show on a big time, I don't know, everybody's eager anticipation here to see who fills these opening positions. Some leaders in the clubhouse, if you will, but there are names flying like crazy, JC, like it just that I would imagine, depending on from whom you're hearing these names, are legit and, could be actual folks to keep an eye on, but there are even more names flowing out there that you're like, okay, who I need to find out who said that. And that's just what it is, because everybody's going to have the guys they want. And it's very easy to jump on a message board or take to X and just say, hey, here's what I hear from sources.
Yeah. That's definitely the deal there.
So. Yeah. The plane is back in Columbia, according to
Will.
I
meant to say that coming back.
Yeah,
sorry, I made the mistake of getting on the board. So,
is there somebody on it though? That's
I just texted.
Who do we have at the airport? Is Whittle not at the airport, like hiding in the bushes with some binoculars and keeping an eye on things? That would be great. I know he's been accused of doing such before.
Yeah, I just checked. There are people at the airport.
There are people at the airport.
Well, there was last night too. So just to let everybody know. So that's the deal there. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who's on it, who's not. We'll see. See what happens. If I get anything, I will let you guys know. I'll let you know. Cam mentions Jerron Willis entered the portal. Yeah, that was news yesterday. I think, with that, he was kind of the fourth linebacker this year. Did not play a ton. It was basically three guys that rotated, just like the previous year after Kamara left. In a two linebacker defense, probably hard to get a bunch of playing time. And then there's a bunch of linebackers, Phil, that redshirted this year. I mean, a slew. AJ Holloway, Jason Smith, I think, kid from Dutch Fork. AJ Holloway, and then Donovan Darden and Austin. All those guys are linebackers. So I think that's a sign that maybe those guys are going to be ready to go next year, and he wants to go someplace he can play. I think he's certainly capable. Jerron Willis is, and we'll never forget the SC State game and
that's right,
return for the touchdown and all that. And I thought Jerron, when he got in, played pretty well from time to time, made some plays.
Yeah, he did.
Of course, he came in from Ole Miss as a transfer portal guy, but as you get older, in football, if you're not playing a whole lot, it's sometimes best to go somewhere else.
Is he a grad transfer? Does that mean he can immediately enter, or is he just putting his intention out there?
I think there's the intention to do that. Yeah, I don't think he's a grad just yet, but I don't have the list. So, Doc says we all must keep in mind we played one of the toughest schedules ever. While the offense was embarrassing, execution-wise, it wasn't the lack of talent. No, it wasn't. I think Carolina, with a better plan and better execution, could have won its share of games. Would they have made the playoff? In hindsight, that's hard to say, just because the teams that were down on the SEC schedule outside of Kentucky, the other 7, Carolina played them when they were not down, LSU and Missouri. Then they played everybody else down the stretch. And like Shane Beamer said, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, and you could argue Texas A&M had the best seasons they've ever had in the history of their program.
Right. They were historic. Yeah.
It was one of those years. What normally happens is you look at the schedule, you go, great googly moogly. That's a tough schedule. And then half the teams aren't worth a crap. I'm sure if you saw Florida and Auburn on your schedule this year, you're probably like, oh, God, this is going to be tough. And or South Carolina. And then you're like, no, it wasn't that tough. It wasn't that tough. That happens sometimes.
Well, and you could see there's still some of that pretty record syndrome throughout the picking here. So, yeah.
Lauren's worried Briles going to use us to end up the head coaching job. Won't be here for long. I'll tell you this: if you can get a head coaching job, a good one, as the OC at South Carolina, that's good. And really, I agree. I think he obviously has head coaching aspirations. All these guys do. But I'll tell you this, Lauren, I'm sign me up for it. And like I was thinking about the other day, let's say he comes here next year. Carolina does a 2014 TCU type turnaround and goes from 4-8 to 11-1, makes the playoff, all that. He gets a head coaching job. At that point, Mike Furry, they just promote him or hire someone else. I mean, I don't, I think it's one of those things where things were so bad this year, you're kind of at a breaking point, and you really got to look at it for 2026. It's all in on 2026, do or die. Got to turn this thing back in the right direction. And so I don't know that long term, my bigger fear would be he comes and they still aren't worth a crap on offense. And
right. Yeah.
that would be bad. But and I can't guarantee they won't be, because you got to block, you got to catch the ball, you got to throw the ball, you got to make plays. I mean, that's the bottom line. But if you can have I feel better about the plan than I did when if I'd have known what Shula was going to do. TD says JB did a good job breaking down Briles. He's proven to be able to adapt to his quarterback strength. Yeah, if you look at Baylor when they were there, TD, Baylor would have like running guys that are better at running. Then they have guys that are kind of passers and all that good stuff. So that's that I love that. And trust me, that's kind of Beamer's overarching vision for the offense. He said it before. He wants an offense that can fit any style of quarterback. These days, you can't really afford to go with the lead-footed passer unless you can really block. Michigan does that sometimes, with success. There are not very many other schools that do, but all the guys in the quarterback room right now, Duckworth, Nolan, Woods, Lenoris, they're either really, really good runners like Lenoris and Duckworth, or they're mobile and they can run enough. Like none of those guys are any slower and less able to run than like Spencer Rattler, like a Jake Bentley, which those guys didn't run a whole lot, but when they did, they were effective. So Steven says, Phil and JC, I hope you never do what Chef from Mississippi said she would do if Lane left Ole Miss. She said she would strip butt naked and run around the Oxford Square. That's got to be some sort of prison sentence in the state of Mississippi.
I would imagine. Yeah, that's so close,
Yeah. So Lauren says she wants a guy here at least 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Besides people that got fired, like there's a Virginia Tech connection. Ricky Bussell came from Virginia Tech and was the South Carolina OC under Brad Scott his first year, and that's when they went to the bowl and won. And then he hightailed it, went back to Virginia Tech after a year. Other than that, I can't really remember anybody. So Eric Wolford left after 1 year the first time under Spurrier because he got the Youngstown State head coaching job. Yeah. It's been rare that that's happened. But at this point, it's just all about, because there's no tomorrow. I mean, 2026, we're not going to be, if that does not go well, we're probably not going to be talking about a coordinator hire at this time next year.
Yeah. So it'd be a larger position there, probably.
Pimps like Krager says, I think this offensive version needs 2 or 3 years, even if we go 6-6. Here's the good thing about it, Craig. Carolina's set up for it. It's not going to require any recruiting overhaul. South Carolina hasn't really recruited to a system. They just recruit talent. And I mean, the system was just kind of your normal whatever. Yeah. I don't know if I call it normal, but there's enough. What you want to have, you don't want to have a bunch of slow receivers. They don't have a bunch of slow receivers.
Right.
You need good linemen, but they're going to address that during the portal. The quarterbacks all fit the scheme, and it's not hard to learn. They didn't have a playbook at FAU. That's probably why Briles turns it around so fast. There's no I remember Satterfield during his first year one time said it may take a year to learn to get this offense down. I'm like, are you kidding?
You don't have a year, buddy.
You don't have that much time.
Nobody's got that kind of time.
So,
They don't even have a
Pimple-
playbook.
Pim-
What is it like? The spur, like you got a menu sheet. I mean, which is I would love, and I hope that's exactly what happens.
So, Jawbreaker says, I assumed it ended up being Briles. I don't mind. I was hoping for Jason Beck, but I think both have upside. It's not official yet. It's not done yet.
Mm-mm.
The plane is back from Fort Worth. So I don't know what the deal is there. Where is Hale or John? I don't know. Parts unknown.
That's right. Hold on, yeah.
TD Nell says, nice mug, love Star Wars.
Oh,
Josh Smith. Did I say that? I didn't say that right, did I?
That's funny. His name has come up twice today. Once on both shows. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The Dutch Fork kid. Daryl asked if there's any chance to do OC want to circle back on Michael Smith. I don't know that was a Mike Shula thing as to why he left or wanted to get in the portal. It would end up, it would be surprising, but yeah, I mean, Smith just was hurt and then he didn't practice very hard and all this good stuff. So we will see kind of how all that goes. But Lauren says Hale said no coaches are on the plane when returned.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I don't know that that's a good sign. Because it was there overnight. But at the same time, you just never know. I don't want to read too much into it.
I mean, it's not like we have the manifest and know exactly who's on there. I'm sure we could get it or at least, figure, I don't know. Now, who knows? It would be nice to get this put to bed.
Yes. So anyway, Hale had a nice update. Go subscribe to the Big Spur.
That's right.
So, Doc says losing coordinators can be tough, but it means you're winning. Yeah. And the good programs just roll on about that. Clint gives away the secret, there. Planes can land in other places too. TCU Insider says Briles has other offers too. Will says I'll be concerned if it gets past tomorrow with no OC. So we will see. Which TCU Insider though? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, the deal's not done, so we'll see kind of what happens. But certainly interesting. The school plane tracking. Yeah, I've said that pretty much all week. If it gets past tomorrow with no OC, that would be worried. Clint says forgot not post VIP stuff. That's okay. That's okay. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Josh says we have the pieces for a decent turnaround and lineman to turn around quick. Are we waiting for a number to be worked out? I don't know the details as to what, because I look at it a little bit. I don't think this is delayed or anything. I think with any kind of situation like this, there's just things to take care of before you go public with it. So, that's the thing there. Jawbreaker asked, would TCU bring their running back coach to or Briles? I don't know. That's up in the air. That's Jimmy Smith, but it also could be Stan Drayton. Cam asked if you swing and miss on Briles with Decker still being on the table. I'm assuming so. But this is another reason though, like why you got to kind of get it done, because like today, Tennessee fired their defensive coordinator. Okay. So there's going to be some other jobs come open.
Yeah, especially with all the coaching moves that have been made. I mean, not all of those coordinator positions have been filled.
Yeah. So you need to kind of, this needs to get done or you need to move on. I mean, that's the case with Briles, Decker, or whoever else. Josh says it have to be approved by the board before announced. I forgot. Before you hear something from the
school's not
from the university, they'll have to vote on it. But the news will break. I'll say this again. I expect one of those national guys to have it out, just because it goes through agents sometimes. So Jordan asked, how much is Briles making at TCU? $1.45 million. is his salary that I read today. But they're private, so I don't know how anybody arrived at that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought, yeah, okay.
So Krager points out he can take the job and not be on a plane here today. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that could be the case. But it also could mean that, you know, I don't know. It could mean a lot of things. It could mean a lot of things. So we'll see sort of what happens. I know this. I think that Carolina Empire said, if you had to put our odds on Briles versus other candidates, what would they be? I don't know. I don't want to put odds on it because I think there's a leading candidate. I mean, like with Decker, and when I mentioned Beck, you know, I tried, and people just take it and run with it. I tried to put out like, look, it's this is a name. I don't know that they're the lead. I wouldn't call him the leading guy. With Briles, I'd say the leading guy, right? So, you know, all I can say is he's the leading guy. And so this would be one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It may get a little, weird or something. So, you know, who knows? Chat GPT told him 850,000 and also told him 8 million for the Briles salary. Yeah, that thing AI hadn't caught up with sports yet. Carolina Empire says, I was enamored with the thought of Decker, but Briles is a fine hire too. Thank God we'll finally run a college offense regardless.
I'm just glad that most of the names that we've heard, JC, have been like a true college style offense, right? Like that has mixed in some, obviously you're going to use some of the stuff that's more popular at the NFL level, but their primary mode of moving the ball is a spread, a bit more up tempo, not this deliberate, running into a brick wall style that we see on Sundays and what we have unfortunately kind of been accustomed to around here.
Yeah. No, I get it. Let's take a break, Phil.
Yeah. Here, let me fire up a little music here. Take us into it. Oh, I got one more that I do want to get in. Oh, yeah, there it is. Jose Feliciano. Celebrate his entire catalog. All right, we will be right back inside the Gamecocks, the show, of course, brought to you in part by Game Day Nuts. Don't miss a touchdown by fumbling your nuts. I'm sure we'll come up with something witty here moving into the hoop season. But JC Sherbert, Phil Mullinax, we will be back after this with the final segment of ITG.
Introducing this year's Carolina Jackpot $5 scratch-off ticket, featuring a chance to win up to $200,000. You can even enter your tickets into the second chance promotion. Step on the court for a chance to win $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000. This Palmetto series, let's show who really runs this state.
Food tastes better without the shells. Get the shell out of here. Visit GameDayNuts.net and change your boiled peanut experience forever.
Gamecock Traditions ships to your doorstep, and we're here to help make your gift-giving experience easier and affordable. Shop the widest selection of Gamecock apparel and gift ideas at Gamecock Traditions. Youth, women's, and men's apparel fully in stock. Jewelry, kitchenware, tailgate gear, and so much more. Shop and ship today. Happy holidays from Gamecock Traditions.
Are your wood floors dirty, scratched, worn, or unsightly? Refinish your hardwood floors with Recoat Revolution before the guests arrive this holiday season. Our one-day dustless wood floor refinishing process is simple, effective, and affordable. Give us a call in South Carolina 803-397-1365 or visit us at recoatrevolution.com. Go Gamecocks and happy holidays.
Why choose Game Day Nuts?
They're so easy to eat.
Don't have to throw the shells away.
Easy for travel. It's like grab and go.
Delicious.
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 They are delicious.
Never miss a touchdown fumbling with your nuts. Visit GameDayNuts.net. Boiled peanuts. shell.
Hey Gamecock fans, happy holidays from all of us here at the Barn Dominium Company. Many of you will be spending your holidays in one of our beautifully built Barn Dominium homes. Thank you for letting us make your dreams come true. We hope you find peace, joy, and love during the most wonderful time of the year.
This is a breaking news event. We now have boiled peanuts without the shells.
Sorry, Alex. Did you say boiled peanuts without the shells?
Yes, boiled peanuts. No shells. Go to GameDayNuts.net and order them for game day.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
At Moultrie Insurance, our agents are working for you. Our commercial lines of coverage are well-sourced and intimately chosen. We offer commercial lines of coverage such as business owners, umbrella, property, auto, or general liability coverage, and evaluate every option to find what fits you best. Like a good offensive coordinator, we will draw up the plays, but only run with what you feel comfortable. Get in touch with our quarterback, Perry Orth, or our head coach, Frank, by visiting MoultrieINS.com. MoultrieINS.com. Moultrie Insurance, proud supporters of the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Nana's Porch presents a Southern staple, delivered right to your doorstep. Nana's Porch locally crafted pimento cheese has been a hit for years at weddings, tailgates, and other events. Now you can order online and have it sent to your home. Visit nanasporch.com. That's nanasporch.com and click the pimento cheese tab to choose between their original pimento cheese and their jalapeno smoked pimento cheese set. nanasporch.com, man, that's good.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Carve the turkey, turn the ball game on. Make Bloody Marys, cause we all want one. Send somebody to the stop and go. We need some celery and a can of baked snow. A bag of lemons and some diet Sprites. A box of tampons, some Salem lights. Hallelujah, everybody say cheese. Merry Christmas from the family. Feliz
Welcome back, everybody, inside the Gamecocks, the show. Final segment of the show here on a Mad Dog Monday as we talked about some playoff stuff and hold on, I gotta.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Here, take over right
quick.
quick because I have some work to do.
TCU message board guy said the Briles is meeting with Dykes today. So, I mean, all right, if the report in the newspaper out there was false and he isn't having is going to have a contract renewed, then maybe that's the case. I don't know. There was a report that said they're not bringing Briles back. So, you know, I guess it's a newspaper. It's supposed to be vetted. But so I don't know why he would be meeting with Sonny Dykes. The TCU board information's been a little sketchy about all this, just to be square with you. But that's the deal there. Kreger, for those that haven't seen Landman, that new episode yet, like me, Kreger, don't read the chat box. Oh goodness.
Oh, spoilers. No, that's all right. I'll avoid it.
Amen, Phil. The names we've heard of all had success lately. Nobody voted worst OC of the NFL or been out of calling plays for a decade. Yeah, the worst OC in the NFL thing, Kyle Shanahan was 31st on that list that year. So I've never thought that was a big deal. But Dowell Loggins, you know, I mean, he's kind of the best of the bunch. But man, there's just been 2 disasters that have happened. So it's just one of those things.
All right, good.
But yeah, Kreger said Beamer finally swallowed his pride, admitted his pro style doesn't work. Yes and no. I don't think Shane ever was married to a pro style thing. I think his whole thing is he wanted to be multiple, and a lot of times those systems that are multiple are in a sense pro style systems, like what Mike Bobo runs. He wants to run the ball and all that. He wants to use the tight end, that kind of thing. But I'm kind of with you, Kreger, that it was kind of the idea or the scheme. You know, I think the vision was there, but the idea and the implementation was probably I don't know, just a little bit. It's just the wrong hires, and I think Dowell did the best that did the best of all of them because he was in college for a little bit after the NFL. His trajectory, so they all had different trajectories. I think Marcus Satterfield, after spending unbelievably so, after spending a year with the Panthers as an assistant offensive line coach and getting all these ideas from Joe Brady or whoever else, he wanted to do all of that and show how great he was, and probably, Phil, I think with an eye toward going back to the NFL. Right?
Right. I mean, you know, that is the peak.
Yeah, that's where he was like moving toward. Okay. So that's,
well, if you were looking at what he was doing as a resume, that would be the only place that resume would really fly.
Yeah, that tape, you know, you want to be Ben Johnson. So that's A. And then B, Dowell, though, was on a trajectory back to college. He left the NFL after 20 years, was an analyst at Penn State, came back to Arkansas's alma mater, coached tight ends, actually worked with Kendall Briles, you know, got some ideas, understood right away that you can't number things and have the same cadence and the 37 word play calls and all that at the college level. And, you know, players told me directly when Dowell took over, several of them did, it's so much easier to learn. I mean, and I don't know if he used numbers or what he used, one word, whatever. But there were no, in 2023 and 2020, you know, 2023, there were no operational issues like with the offense. And really last year, there were less stupid penalties on the offensive line and pre-snap things. And Lenoris looked less lost as a first-year starter last year. And that's because it was kind of easy to learn. There are a lot of concepts was easy to learn. And he came back with the idea that he wanted to coach in college and be the head coach. And he is. So mission accomplished. Congrats to them for getting the Birmingham Bowl berth yesterday, too, by the way. So there's that. Then Shula, kind of different than both of them. There's no trajectory with him. He was just kind of like out of the NFL for now, 60 years old, on staff, doing something new. And, you know, like, okay, let's make him the coordinator. Okay, that'll be fun. And then he proceeded to just call it like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, those are all 3 different things. But they're all the whole, I guess, Craig, the whole binding, the tie that binded them all, right, was the NFL. I mean, all of them, you know, NFL, that's all you heard, NFL. And so now I think that it's good to zig when you've zagged and it hasn't worked, and probably going in a totally different direction with with this, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So that's the deal there. A guy on the TCU page who seems to know says Briles has a $1.2 million buyout. Well, okay. So here's my other question. According to the report I read, now maybe this report's just stupid and not right. His contract ends at the end of the year and they're not renewing it. That's what it said. So how does he have a buyout if it ends? I mean, maybe if it ends before December, I mean, I don't know.
A certain date here or there, and yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
So
They're a private school, so it's like it's tough to
it's tough. You don't have that information.
That really is going on. Yeah, there is no.
It's just one of those things. But yeah, Darius Gray is a 5-star. TD, no, he is a 5-star. So Nana's Porch chat box, but you know.
What do you think about Jazavian Currents coming in and making an immediate impact? Because he turned a lot of heads this weekend in the state championship games.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, end of discussion. I'm sorry. I was reading something on the message board.
I need the discussion. All right. I won't bring up Jazavian Currents anymore.
You know, some of these people like just going on the message board, like, I don't know where he gets off thinking that we're equals. Like his information, the bull crap he made up about Lenora Sellers the other day, basically, is just stupid. It was not accurate. And that I say that to say, you know, but what's going to happen is this: if something happens and the Sellers brothers leave, he's going to claim he's right. But it's just complete trash.
Well, the way that whole post was worded is he can't be wrong. And I hate that, right?
Yeah,
it was like,
and
whatever
like,
the outcome is, I was right. I told you.
I've done this 17 years, man. I mean, you know, you want to do what I do. Why don't you go start your own site and we'll compete and we'll see how long that lasts. See if you can stick to it and do it. I'm not right all the time. Information about this stuff these days is crazy because there are people out there like that think that they deserve to have a voice and that they're important. It's a bunch of arrogance. It's the downfall of social media. And look, I love fans sharing information and I love fans sharing opinions. I mean, I'm not in an ivory tower here, but when you sit there and you post something damaging like that because you're mad, your little fragile feelings are hurt because they had a bad season. And so you want to burn it all down with misinformation. You see it in politics all the time. Just damaging misinformation. Nobody's going to check you. You know, that's just crap. I mean, to me, it's just like, Lauren says it's that Sphinx guy saying it. Yeah. Sphinx on the TCU message board. I don't know. So somebody's wrong on the TCU end of things. It's either the Dallas Morning News writer or a Fort Worth Star Telegram. I don't remember which one. Or it's Sphinx, because unless there's a clause like, okay, so some of these contracts, they don't run parallel with the season. They may run for the academic year. Unless there's a contract that says if you leave at any time over the duration, you owe us $1.2 million. I don't know that South Carolina wouldn't be willing to pay about it to get the right guy. So
coordinator buyout seems so crazy to me.
Carolina Empire says they said they've already extended him and he's the highest paid coordinator of the Big 12. Okay, well, does he know about this report that says that he's not? I mean, okay, I'll find this. Let me find this, Phil. Oh God. Yeah.
All right.
This is a long I just need to not do it. I honestly not do a show when things like this are going on. It's pointless.
Right, because it's.
I mean, I don't make a dime off this. You know, right. I make my living doing the other thing. Fort Worth Star Telegram. You know, and so I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna send it to Phil, and Phil can put it in the chat box.
Cool. All right.
You know, so there we go.
Then we can go.
So we'll read that. And so here's what it says. Now, this guy obviously brought up the scandals at Baylor and all that because he's Stephen Johnson. Briles becoming a source confirmed to the Star Telegram that the Gamecocks are zeroing in, but it's yet to be finalized. And then he talks about it being a controversial hire, blah, 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 blah. Had to put that in, right? So wait a minute. Did he take that out? Oh, he took it out. Season. All right.
We got TCU.
It's that part's out of the story. So
edited.
So that was edited. So apparently it's that part's out of the story. It was in there the other day. So the Fort Worth Star Telegram was inaccurate. Perhaps they should pay attention to current events a little more than a scandal at Baylor that they continuously want to revive. So
yeah.
Josh says, thanks for what you guys do. Yeah, I enjoy doing this. And I just made that comment because it just gets real. I'm sitting there with my head on a swivel and stuff like that. And
it's a lot.
It's a different mindset to do the show versus do that. And especially this time of day. So it's just one of those things. So Rooster says he thinks the TCU fans think Briles is leaving. Well, it looks like it was heading in that direction. So we'll see sort of what happens. But hopefully it gets done. I don't know. I don't want to say, like I said earlier, I don't think in my mind it's taking as long as maybe we think because we're out here. But we'll see sort of what happens. Phil, let's just cut it, man. I gotta get to work
here. Let me fire.
Yeah, let's just get this to going. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll stay an extra 15 minutes or something tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll work it out. It'll all work out in the balance here. We've covered all.
And then you got people freaking out about the plane and all this other
yeah, that's all right. We got it. That's all right. But for JB or JC, well, JB too, hell, he was on earlier.
Yeah.
I am. Phil.
We'll holla at you guys tomorrow. This is the show. We'll be back with coffee in the morning. I did talk a lot about this on coffee this morning, so you guys can check that out. And thanks to all our sponsors. And we'll be back tomorrow on the show. Pray for me. See you.